Hello everybody and welcome to Chaotic Neutral Games. The stream isn't starting just yet, I'm just setting up, but I'd like to have a bit of a chat to put onto the video before I get started. This week has been a little bit of a strange week, actually. It started last week and I mentioned it in session 30, that we had a Follow Friday that was put out by Misfits and Monsters, a fantastic stream. And during that Follow Friday, they put a list out for a bunch of UK podcasters and streamers that cover D&D. Since then, the Encounter Party also put out a similar thing. They put out a poll on Twitter where a bunch of other podcasters and other streamers were able to say what podcasts and streams they follow whilst also pitching themselves. It was a fantastic idea. There were a lot of people that went on there, and our games_neutral Twitter went absolutely crazy as we started adding more people and getting lots of feedback and love, where people started watching our YouTube videos and we started listening to their podcasts and we all started getting really enthusiastic about each other. And now I've got this huge backlist of people that I want to listen to their podcasts and catch up on their streams, and it's fantastic. As I've already said before, I've got a hideous long commute to go to work. 2 hours each way, in fact, so I'm able to binge a lot of podcasts, but it also means that I've developed a bit of a taste for which podcasts I like and what kind of streams I like. Unfortunately, due to data on my phone, I can't watch streams all that often, but it becomes a real love that you can have, these wonderful podcasts come up, and even with having a little bit of an acquired taste now to what I like to listen to and what I like to watch, that these things are just so good that I'm just enraptured by it, and I end up binging the entire series and hankering for more. My Podbean account now has just gone crazy with the number of extra podcasts that's on there, and something came out of it, actually. A while back I had this idea that I would not just stream my own stream, but I'd actually boost other people's streams and other people's podcasts. For any of you who've watched us for any amount of time, you already know that we promote artists, we promote Geeky Clean, which is just up there. We've promoted Ren, the Girl with the Mark, which the producer for that web series is our very own Kate, playing Cora Yourcenar. And we do this without asking for any money or anything like that, because our goals to start off with were quite simple. The Chaotic Neutral goals were for a bunch of friends and strangers. So for those of you who don't know, I knew Corinne before the show, I knew Felicia before the show, Corinne knew Rodrigo and Felicia. Corinne and Felicia are best buds. And then we just looked for other people. I never met Rodrigo before, but Corinne had recommended him. And then we threw out a wide net and we found the lovely Nick and Kate, who before this stream were complete strangers to us. And the magic of D&D, the real magic behind the magic, happened, and we got together doing this thing that we loved, and it's all just spun kind of out of control, but in the best way, with fantastic art and input and co-storytelling and acting and improv, just all the wonderful things that we get out of the role-playing community. We had simple goals. Just get together, play the game, and if we all have fun, then there we go. We've won. We've already succeeded. That's what you get when you have humble but genuine goals. But on top of that, we also said that in terms of the stream, we weren't looking to be the next Critical Role or the next High Rollers. Those guys have put everything they can into that. And we have day jobs. So, we wouldn't be going for that. To tell you the truth, we didn't really want to monetize this and go into what I'm sure is already a quite flooded market for the top level broadcasts. So we decided that if just one person was to watch and enjoy, and we were to make them laugh even for one session, that'd be a second win. We've won far beyond that. We've got a small community of people who watch and give the theories of the various plot lines that are going ahead. We've had fan art effectively come in, although to call it fan art, well, yeah, I guess it is fan art. don't think we have to be modest here. We've had Rattlecat, at Rattlesire, if you want to follow them on Twitter, doing pictures of Farewell and the others. And yeah, I guess they admit that they're a fan of the show. And what's wrong with that? So we've got a small following, and wherever this goes, we've already won. We've already kind of got what we set out to do. Now, as for promoting others, there was a little bit of Britishness, I'll have to admit, that said we can't do that. I mean, why? Why would we promote other people? We're nothing big. Normally bigger people promote smaller people, right? No. I think to have that holding you back is probably going to be forgetting one of the many, many strengths of the legion of critters and D&D fans out there and role players in general, this wonderful community, and that is that we lift each other up. And so an idea that I had before that originally, as I say, that little grain of Britishness told me was a bad idea and that would be criticised for, I've thrown away all of the doubts and just started giving the love in the same way we do for our artists and for James and Steph of Geeky Clean. And so you may have heard over Twitter that I've been obsessing, as have the rest of them here at Chaotic Neutral, about Heroes of Renown, a podcast. And if you want to follow them, you've got the Twitter @ofrenown. There's going to be more in the video to come. And so I got hold of them, and we had a quick chat that I could slip into the break of this show after the Ren trailer, and also at the beginning, which I'm going to be showing in a minute, where we got to have a quick chat about Heroes of Renown and what they are and how you can find them and who the characters are, and it was fantastic. And after speaking to Joe and the others, I immediately was on a high. We recorded this on Monday, by the way, and I said, yeah, I'm going to do more of this. Damn it, I love D&D. And that's where the hashtag came up. So I'm throwing this all around with the hashtag LoveD&D. So love D ampersand D is what I'll be putting onto it. And they're going to be stored on here on Twitch and also on YouTube, so you can revisit them if you don't catch it the first time around. So they'll be on our channels, and I'm hoping to collect more. So this is kind of a call to arms to other podcasts out there, other streams. If you do D&D, if you're part of our wonderful community, you want to have a quick chat, roughly the same questions that I gave the Heroes of Renown guys, then please contact us. Contact us and we'll very happily signal boost you guys. And there are other people like Misfits and Monsters, Encounter Party, and the others, so many others I want to get hold of, Turncloaks, which I'm a big fan of them, to have a chat with them and talk about their own particular stories and storytellers, and connect them with more appreciative viewers, myself being one of them. I run one stream, but I watch so many others. I'm more of an appreciative viewer than I am a broadcaster. So, yeah, what a positive week. What a fantastic week. I mean, not so much something new. Our community's always had this, but something that I guess has just been highlighted to me. Something that's been made fresher, and something that's kind of highlighted what doors can be thrown open, some opportunities that we can have. So I'll leave all the sentimentality now. And I'll introduce you guys to the Heroes of Renown. And after that, we'll have the waiting screen as I set everything else up back here. And we'll carry on with episode 31 of the Benefactor, where the party are going to be trying to find some answers after the drama of the previous session. See you later. Today we're speaking with Heroes of Renown, a charismatic D&D 5th edition podcast where we follow a group of steampunk fantasy heroes as they perform a mission for their proto-fascist government, I think they called it. Listening to this podcast, I was immediately felt that I was in the room with friends that I'd known for years, and being delighted not only by the colour and detail of the narrative, but also from the bright, memorable characters. Hello, Heroes of Renown.
Hello.
So before we hear about the character, a little about the setting. Joe, can you tell us about your world and current campaign? Joe, by the way, is the DM.
Hello, I am Joe the DM. It's set in the world of Artemis Primer, a world homebrew. It is steampunk. There is a lot of science fiction influences in it, as well as fantasy. It is, as you quite rightly mentioned, a proto-fascist regime. It's basically an industrial-military complex where the skills that you have as a person are funneled through either the clergy or the military, and they are your paths through life, and they will be set out for you very, very quickly. If you are in the military, you are known as the chosen of Artemis Primer.
Yeah, that word "chosen's" been thrown about a lot, and I can't help but feel that's a little bit of ego stroking on the characters. It's like, hey, you're the chosen to go into this death trap, and right that there's a lot of sci-fi. I get a lot of sci-fi boxes ticked when I watch it. Everything from Dark City to I really don't know what, but it hits a lot of things. And I had a little bit of what's that? Mortal Engines, the city rolling over the lands. If a city on giant tracks does appear in this, I would not be at all surprised. Fantastic. So, can we hear a little bit about your players and characters?
Of course, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Leah. I play Cortesia Delaney, so she is a hybrid ranger. I'm actually an outsider to this world. My skills are pretty honed, so that's why I'm here. My character has wings, which is her kind of like defining characteristic. I think she might regret them because constantly having to tell people that she can't fly.
Yep.
I'm Chloe, and I play the Modron Druid.
I think you cut us for a second there. That's Cinto X9.
Yeah, Cinto X9, the Modron Druid, that runs around trying to smash things. I'm really squishy, actually. To be honest. And I'm part of the City Guard, but I'm loyal to my group over anything else.
My notebook. How's your notebook, Lisa?
I'm getting there.
And about the only player that the only character that I think I can actually draw because she's basically with arms and legs.
There has been a lot of discussion of what shape exactly Cinto X9 is. We have got into way more sort of deep mathematical discussion than I imagined we would.
All of the spherical things.
Hi, I'm James. I'm playing Shade, who's sort of the second half of the robotic dynamic duo in our little group. He's a warforged envoy rogue who's basically built from the ground up to sneak around, kill, do whatever he needs to do whatever he needs to. So he's a bit of an enigma so far, but there might be some deep backstory. Yeah,
and one of the things I love about Shade, you said right from session one, is he's got a reconfigurable face.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. And this is a world, I guess, where Warforged being able to change their appearance doesn't mean that somebody goes, hey, they're still a Warforged, so I recognise who they are, because everybody's got that steampunk element to them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can quite easily blend in quite a few places.
Fantastic.
Huge amount of body modification in the setting as well. Everyone's got like orgies, or what they call them, augmentants.
Yeah.
I'm Matt. Play Renfield, a soldier who had eye implanted into his chest that contains a fragment of like a sentient weapon, and gaining powers and pieces. And sinister things are happening to him as a result of it.
Yeah, I tweeted out today. I think episode 3 has got to be my favourite so far on episode 4 now. A moment where that buzz comes up and the eye stays open. I'm like, whoa, okay, getting major fear. Fantastic. So, if our viewers want to hear adventures or follow you, I've got the Twitter up, which is of renown. But other than that, is there anywhere else else that we your own personal or other place we should look for your podcast?
Sure. Well, you can look on Facebook, Instagram. If you just search Heroes of Renown in Facebook or Instagram, we're there. We're on Podbean, so if you just search Heroes of Renown on Podbean, you can find all of our episodes. And we are soon to be on iTunes as well, so that's very exciting.
Fantastic.
So look out for us on iTunes. You can check out our website, heroes-renown.weebly.com. There's nothing we did to make it difficult to find.
Okay. So heroesofrenown-weebly.com.
Heroes-of-renown.weebly.com.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Oh, it came a few times, so I thought it so at least we've got that down. The joys of Discord. Okay, fantastic. Well, that's pretty much everything that we've got, and we'll be able to listen to our break. Thank you very much, Heroes of Renown. I'll certainly carry on listening to you, and I know some of the other players are just starting now. And carry on listening to us. I know one or two of you do. And your first session was our last one, which was chaotic. It was absolutely terrible good. But that's all we've got time for to put it into the break. So, Heroes, thank you for your time. Look forward to carrying on following your.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good to speak to you.
Hello everybody and welcome to Chaotic Neutral Games and our D&D 5th edition campaign, The Benefactor. I'm here with Felicia, Rodrigo, Corinne, Nick and Kate as they continue with session 31 of The Benefactor. They are now licking their wounds after an assassination attempt last session by an Arinias. Not just any Arinias, but one that I modded with the Infernal Manhunter mod, which meant that it was slightly more powerful and slightly more annoying. Unfortunately, as with many of my encounters, we do get a kind of correlation between the amount where I go, oh my god, I think I'm going to kill them, and them pulling something spectacular out of the hat. I'm not disappointed. The play last session was amazing, with some genius moves played by the players and a lot of teamwork as well. So now they get to get some answers, as maybe they want to quiz Glory a little more on why she's being assassinated by CR12 modded creatures.
I mean, she's not being assassinated.
And then, after that, getting back on the road, going to Vaughnford, the village where they had their original mission before they lost their memories, and learn what they can about their missing memories from there. Let's say hello to the players. Hello everyone!
Hi.
Right, so now that I've got through the intro without a hitch, we're going to have some terrible technical issues throughout the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, it's going to crap out. It really is.
My internet is going to go out like 50 times today, and I'm going to go insane.
Just gonna go like completely mental. And
I'm going to go fucking feral.
Yeah.
So, before we get started on the long and lonely track, thank you for hosting, Kate, that will lead you to Vaughnford, I would like you guys to take a moment as you're coming down from being attacked by an 8-foot Amazonian devil. You have got a few items out of it, even though it was supposed to be a treasureless encounter.
I got a sword. I really wanted the bow though.
I have the sword.
You have the sword and you have the rope.
I stole it twice.
Yes, you stole it twice. And that means why.
And if she comes back, I'm gonna take her bow.
I love the fact that this has gone from being a threat to, oh, please make her come back. The bow was really cool and it's a dex-based thing. I can use it.
Oh, this is the priest guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's terrible.
So, the actions that you had left over from last session. Farewell, risking his own life to Cora's increasing stress as she goes closer and closer to having grey hairs over her friend's actions.
At least I told her this time.
That he stepped into death, although they didn't notice much. He was gone for literally a second. He just kind of blinked a bit. But Farewell jumped into the land of death and gave the grumpy caravan guard Amelia, who got ripped apart by this vengeful Arinias, a chance to be judged under the gods before she's taken to hell. He's back. And now they have to deal with a few things. First of all, they've been digging a hole to bury Amelia's corpse, the scratched apart mess that it is. And they also have to deal with the small issue of Stuart, the carter that's been running the very fast mail coach that they've been travelling around in. He's still asleep and has no idea that the last session happened.
Let's just
gonna be a bad morning.
Let's just take the chance to get back the sleep we lost fighting Glory's consequences.
Isn't Eclipse already asleep? She's
Yes,
I've had a very stressful night.
She's currently curled up next to Iden, and Iden won't pet her because he's a wuss. And
I'm gonna take watch for. I'm gonna take watch, and then I'm gonna conk out.
If you're gonna do that, then Farewell will ask you to wake him once you've had your watch, and then he'll take the next one.
All right. Yeah, sure.
Between you all, you managed to get a good long rest, as does Stuart. He's still under the effects of the spell, even though the caster is dead. And he had no reason to wake up. He was already asleep. All this has done is just given him the best night's sleep he's ever had, which is just as well, because his morning's going to suck. And you guys managed to finish off your long rest. And I'm going to say, because I am a generous and wonderful person, that you can count the long rest as recovering everything you used in the encounter as well. Because I'm good like that. And also, you've got 2 days travel ahead of you, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I was expecting that because, and then it's like, roll initiative!
For the second Arinias, because I can't think of anything else. So, yeah.
And 4 gelatinous oozes.
Of course. There's always time for oozes and mimics. So, need to change the next encounter. But
sword is a mimic.
Right. So, you have had a long rest. Dawn is calling. And at some point in the night, you have realised, as you're woken up, that the sleep spell has worn off. He's finished his long rest. And because he's a carter, and he usually has to get everything ready in the morning, he rises earlier than you guys. And who's taken the last watch?
I guess
I'm second.
I think
Farewell was second. That's fine. It'll be Farewell. That's fine. Only 2 watches needed.
Okay.
Because you haven't got much of the night left. You already had most of your long rest. And so Stuart wakes up and goes, "Huh? What? Farewell, where's Amelia?"
You might want to sit down.
Who ripped the tent? I've got to sign that back in.
I think you need to sit down.
Oh, okay. Well, and as he's doing that, he throws a bunch of wood onto the fire, getting it up to cooking level, because, as with every morning, Stuart cooks you breakfast. So he's putting the things on and goes, "So, where is she? I mean, she's normally pretty good. She can last most of the night. Is she in sleeping with the... No, I can see the girls from here. Then she's not sleeping with the girls."
I can imagine that Farrell's had some time to sort of get some things ready. So, like, he'll come over and he'll give him, like, a cup and he'll pour him some, like, I don't know, tea or coffee or whatever it is that they've taken in. He'll sit him down and make sure he's comfortable. It's kind of that vicar conversation. That,
he's a little confused because normally he gives you the coffee. And it's just like, okay. He's pretty sure he's not fired because he's in the middle of something.
It's really hard. Well, it's not really hard, but there was an attack in the middle of the night, and she didn't survive.
She's dead.
Not so loud, please. People are sleeping.
You can see this look of this non sequitur look just go across his face as he goes, "Okay, I'm British enough to be polite in this situation, but I'm still going to exclaim." So he exclaims quietly, "She's dead?"
Unfortunately, I tried, but she was too far gone.
What happened? I didn't hear a damn thing.
You were under magical spells.
Someone with magic attacked us.
Yes.
And it really
He doesn't need to know that.
He doesn't need to know. We're going to have to report this. He pulls a log out from his pack. He goes, "We're going to have to report this. Bandits with magic." I mean, that means that they're possibly getting organised. I mean, that's not good at all. I mean, especially on this road. This road we depend on, you know? I mean, this is where a lot of the extra supplies that we can't get...
It wasn't bandits. It was more to do with who you're transporting. So don't worry about...
She was attacked by one of us.
Wording!
She was attacked by one of us?
No.
Can I wake up?
Hold on. No, you're asleep. Hold on. I need some help. I'll be right back. Just get up, turn on the spot, and march over to where Cora's sleeping and just be like, Cora.
What?
I need you to talk to. This didn't go as I expected. I spent 2 hours thinking about this, and this has not gone as I expected. He's just not listening.
I'm standing up and I'm walking past him straight towards Stuart.
I just try and you talk at people and I don't know why they don't listen, and it's very confusing. Sorry.
Okay.
Cora,
Yeah.
what happened? I'm told that I slept through some sort of attack and now Amelia's dead. I mean, don't
Yeah,
get me
you
wrong,
had
I
some
didn't know her that well. She's guarded me like a bunch of times, but that could have been the rest of us. I mean, what happened? Who? I mean, do I need to report this? Or do I need to report it to the Outriders? To Renata? What the hell is going on?
Okay, calm down. Look. We were attacked in the night. I don't really know what it was, some sort of crazy creature. But it was after Glory. And we
Is
took
Glory
care of
okay?
it.
I can't see her. All I can see
Glory's
is her tail.
fine.
She's fine.
Unfortunately, we couldn't do anything for oh god. No, what was her name?
Amelia.
Go quick.
Amelia.
We couldn't do anything for Amelia. You and Amelia were just Amelia was killed outright before we even woke up. They were silent and deadly, and you were under some sort of sleep spell, so that's positive, right?
He goes pale as he realizes that he doesn't know the logic behind why he got sleep and she got slaughtered, and he suddenly realizes how close he came to death, and you can just see the color drain from his face, and he just starts gulping down this sweet tea that Farewell has prepared for him.
I am sure if you need it, then Aiden will have something stronger. Just so you know.
No.
If he wants to share it.
I drink when I'm happy. I only drink when I'm happy.
I think that's probably for the best. You should try and teach that to Aiden.
Has he ever been happy?
Well, that's we try. Look, all you need to know is everyone apart from Amelia is safe, and Farewell put himself through a lot to make sure that she had stuff after death. We did what we could.
And you can see that he immediately puts his hand to his forehead and he says, Raven Queen be praised.
Look, I don't think we need to report this specifically. We need to talk amongst ourselves first. We need to talk with Glory. But
you said that it attacked Glory, but it attacked us first. I mean, was this a personal thing? Was it a what?
I think so, but to be honest, I don't know. We kind of were shattered and we just slept afterwards. We haven't really talked about it. So it's going to be a conversation for soon, actually. As soon as Glory probably gets up. I mean, obviously we don't have an extra guard now. That would be the only reason to get. But I think we're okay.
Would you like some breakfast?
Yeah, exactly. You have breakfast.
I'll make breakfast. I need something to do.
No.
I need something to do. Farewell, please. Okay. You guys kind of keep your weapons close, I guess.
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah,
and
we will.
No choice of that.
And I'll cook bacon, I guess.
Ooh.
And he starts pulling out.
That makes everything better. So.
Maybe. Let's give it a shot, yeah? And bear in mind he can see Amelia's pack off to one side. There's a little bit of a blood stain on the log that she was sat on when she got hideously slaughtered, and he's trying not to look at that. and he starts making breakfast for you.
We've got her stuff, as you can see, so I don't know if you want to take it back. Do you know her family or anything?
She didn't have anyone. She was a road person. That's it. She was a road person.
Okay, well,
Tell me another.
we can take it back anyway.
Sure. I mean, if there's anything in there that's useful, she wasn't the type of person to be sentimental about things. Kind of,
Okay.
when you have things on the road, you know you can lose them any moment, and if you lose them and not your life, you're lucky. She wouldn't care if there's anything that can help you guard us or whatever in there. Just use it. She's got like that crossbow and stuff as well. Just grab what you need.
Okay.
I'll be cooking.
Farewell. Shall I get the others up?
Yeah. Probably
Very,
let
very
Eclipse
important
slip in.
question. Very
What?
important.
Because, you know, she
Well,
got
I just
beaten up.
looked at watch. Yeah. Okay.
But-
Yeah. No. Well, let's let them wake up. They'll smell bacon very soon. So.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I have a very important question.
What's that?
Very important. Very important. Is Aiden and Glory using Eclipse as a pillow?
Yes.
No.
I should imagine Glory is, but Aiden is not the type.
He's probably found the point furthest away as humanly possible as both of you keep moving towards him in his sleep.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Again, the only thing I mentioned is
the
that
cuddle pile, Aiden. Embrace the cuddle pile.
Yeah.
again, I slept as
have
far
any
as possible, but
But we can still have a feelings.
Okay.
I slept as far as possible, but I still slept by the fire.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is it is a sign of affection, remember that.
Now you guys are in a position to
Jam.
notice this. You do notice that I'm going to roll to see who gets up first. Okay, it's Eclipse that gets up first, but by Eclipse moving, she wakes up Glory. So Eclipse, when you wake up to this lovely smell of bacon and eggs and onions and all the other kind of stuff that you need to keep yourself carved up throughout a long journey. You can feel Glory's head against you, as Felicia has said. You're using you're using Eclipse as a pillow. But when you look down, Eclipse, to see that Glory's there, you can't see Glory at all.
Oh yeah.
There's not even a depression in your fur where you can feel Glory's head is at. Glory is 10 foot away in a bedroll near the fire, as far as your eyes tell you.
Yeah, I pat the place where I can feel Glory's head and like her horns and stuff.
Yep, you can feel it. You can feel it there. And for Farewell, Cora, and Stuart, as Eclipse moves and kind of pats Glory on the head, the Glory that is sleeping by the fire that you've been deliberately avoiding and all the rest of it suddenly disapparates along with the bedroll, and she appears lying on Eclipse.
That's a clever trick.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sure that helped last
Arnie,
night.
You're fluffy. I like that.
Probably why
Yes,
she's still alive.
Yes, that's. We tend to be quite fluffy. Hello.
I smell bacon.
Yes, bacon.
Yeah. We have bacon. Here, and he starts passing out these tin plates with various bacony bits on.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Did you two, yes?
Yeah. Yes, but
We probably need to talk.
Yes.
Yes. That is fair.
Is Aiden awake?
I mean,
I don't know, am I?
you could try and just lay on him and see if he wakes up.
I think he might stab me.
Or get the wrong impression.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, we haven't had the tabaxi parallel of your cat waking up on your chest with its nose basically right in your face saying, "Food! Food!"
Smacking him on the top of the head.
Yeah.
Tabaxi like this.
No, it's just a clip.
No, just that one.
Just the clip.
Just this one.
I'm so happy I get to tell so much cat behavior through Eclipse.
But yeah, I don't know. Am I awake, Simon?
If you choose to be, yes.
I'm gonna be asleep for a little longer because I just fucking sleep forever.
Wake up?
I feel like Aiden, even when he's awake, pretends to be asleep too. Like,
That's what I'm actually thinking he's doing. He's not actually asleep. He's actually lying there
listening, but just lying there.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to engage. It's like.
Sorry, bear with me 1 second.
Speaking of cats,
I love him.
Yeah.
Tell him that I will die for him.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I was going to say something, but my the cat.
Says roll for cat pounds.
That was more along the lines of "I'm home, please give me attention," but he's gone off to find my wife. So.
Yes.
always time for cat.
Okay. Yes.
carry
Yes. If we're all gonna question Glory, I think Aiden would like to join in that. So I'll ask. Oh, well, no, Eclipse is gonna go and wake him by batting face.
Yeah.
Sure. Aiden, your thing continues. Your pain continues at the hands of your party as the party cat gets you up in typical cat-like ways.
As we previously demonstrated.
Just give me a few more years. I'll be fine.
Years?
Yeah. Just let me sleep for a few more years. That's just.
Oh, years. Oh.
You can doze on the carriage, Aiden. I'm going to need to set up and leave kind of soon, especially if we got attacked last night.
Yeah, you can always sleep again in the carriage.
Yeah.
Right.
He kind of puts a plate of food together, roughly what you've been eating on every other morning. He goes, "Here you go," and he just puts it on the log next to him.
Thanks.
Hey, Stuart.
Uh-huh.
Do you travel with Amelia a lot?
I mean, you get the guard you get. It's kind of. Some people have got preferred guards, and some people their guard is their partner. They kind of, you.
But did you know her well?
No, I mean we traveled together a bunch of times, 7 maybe. But I mean, you saw her. She's hardly great conversationalist or anything. And I mean, she wasn't I wouldn't say she was entertaining. Baldir, he's great, and he refers to a dwarf that you roughly get the name. You're like, yeah, I think he was one of the guys drinking with us after we got Tristane out of the sewers. He was one of the dwarfs there, and he goes, yeah, he's entertaining. Some people hate his singing. I think it's great. The fact he's got that much energy and all the rest of it, even after a long haul. Yeah, he's good fun, and he's a good protector as well. Amelia, she was quiet. I guess she was helpful. A couple of times when the carriage needed fixing, she was right in there. She did a bit. So, shit. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Stuart. But yes, if Aiden's awake now, we shall just have to ask Glory some questions about last night.
Against Aiden's wishes, he is awake.
Yeah. Last night, so yeah. That was, as you probably already guessed, a fiend.
No shit.
The latest concoction of Cousin Excellence's ideas of a good fight. To be fair, I didn't realize.
If he's not fighting you himself.
I know he's a coward. That's what he is.
So why is he sent? I thought he only sent you like small fry stuff that you could easily deal with.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't small fry.
No, that was a little bit more. But I know why he was able to send her. She did answer that.
So you know it was definitely from him and not from someone else?
Oh god, yes. She said that when she tried to stab me. It's a good thing I sleep
I wanna roll
with
inside.
the illusion thingy I have.
Yeah, that's a neat trick.
I don't believe
Yeah, go for it, Rodrigo.
you wanted to be stabbed.
Wait, what is Aiden rolling for?
18.
I missed that.
Okay. What is it that you would like to determine?
I don't believe a single word Glory's saying. And
So you want to check if she's telling the truth?
About
Yeah, I'm
what
checking.
specifically?
that, the way she said, it's definitely excellence and nothing else. Right.
I'll just give it to you straight. Yeah, at 18, you know that she's absolutely certain of it.
Okay. Still don't trust her, but okay.
No, that type of demon, they're known for coming after people who have...
Devil.
Well, devil, yes. They are known to come after people who have committed, like, you know, marital sin. Generally.
Are you married?
No. But
You're telling me?
the lovely lady who I found out was married after the fact when her wife tried to shoot me with
You're
a
fucking
arrow.
telling me that someone died because you ruined a fucking marriage.
In
To be
Glory's
fair, I
defense-
didn't know it until
Don't you fucking care
afterwards.
very well. Someone's dead because Glory...
Hold on.
Oh,
She might have died, but the whole eyes out thing was due to her own infidelities. That's not
Stuart
Glory's
has just
fault.
gone pale about...
Oh, he's still here.
Yes.
Oh. Oh, I'm really sorry. Oh, you weren't supposed to know that. Oh, I'm really sorry.
Because you can tell he wants to ask what eyes out thing, because those words aren't good words. But he also doesn't want to ask at the same time.
I'm gonna go shuffle off and go start packing things.
I promise I don't try to sleep with married women. It just happens every once in a while.
Glory, do me a favor, shut the fuck up and never talk again.
I think that's slightly harsh. As she said, she
Slightly harsh? You almost died because Glory slept with someone she shouldn't be.
Well, to be fair, Glory didn't know that this woman was married. It's honestly more the woman's fault for cheating on her partner than Glory's for sleeping with her.
Yeah, though her wife was pretty convinced it was my fault because I'm pretty good at flirting, apparently. But you know,
I just storm off.
an
I just
ex.
fucking storm off. I don't want to listen anymore of this.
Sure. Not an irrational
I am
response,
disgusted.
I think.
Yeah, it is a fair one.
He's very emotional this morning. More so than normal.
Probably because he hasn't had a drink yet.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're there calling his behaviour It's just like, well, you know, alcoholism and all the rest of it, completely exonerating Glory for her elements in this. Oh, that's.
No, we're not exonerating.
D parties.
It's just there's not a lot we can do about it now. It's happened.
Yeah. Though I will say, Glory, Ivan's anger is not completely unjustified. Maybe, like, check if women are married before you sleep with them.
Yeah, I've started trying that after the first few incidents.
I think I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
Yeah, the curriculum view.
My question is, how often does your cousin do this, and how long is it usually between attacks?
It's usually a few weeks between attacks, and they're not usually this strong. Like the last one was 2 weeks ago now, because it was during the first week we don't have our memories from, and they were pretty weak. Like I just threw a few acid things at them and they were dead. Other than that, he hasn't really been trying the past 2 years. It's been really weak ones. Like he's been insulting me, so this was a pretty good challenge actually. Like,
well, he may be up in his game then, so you know, if this didn't work, he might be trying something even bigger next time, which might be harder to survive for all of us.
Yeah, that's probably a yes.
Try not to sound too pleased, Glory.
No, but like, I mean, he must have been trying to like trace what I've been doing for the past couple of years to even find this out, and then track down the woman in order to make the deal with the devil. So like, you know, he's acknowledging that I'm his better and trying to do this the proper way instead of sending some weak ass minions.
Are you guys meant to just try and kill each other so there's only one survivor? How does this work?
No, it depends. Like, grandfather does, like, encourage healthy rivalry in order to make each other stronger and all that.
I'm not sure murder is healthy, just putting it out there.
I mean, mutilation happens every once in a while. Murder is more rare, but, like, depending on the bad blood and, like, how strong-willed some people are, it happens. I mean, Uncle Revenant didn't end up in his position without a few heads.
I'm gonna go and speak to Aiden, because he's being grumpy.
I am suddenly infinitely thankful for the upbringing that I had.
Oh yeah.
Like,
infinitely thankful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to continue until one of you is dead, because if that's the case, I mean, well, what's your plan? Are you attacking him too? Are you sending demons after him too?
By not attacking him, I am telling him that he is less than worth it, so, which pisses him off more. So, you know. He'll show up at some point when he's tired of hiding. I'm sure of it.
He is super sexy.
Okay, I don't know if I look forward to that day, but maybe I do, because I can slap him about a bit.
Yeah. We need to slap him a little bit. He did actually kill our eye candy.
That's incredibly insensitive.
Well,
I'm just chomping on bacon.
There's a good thing Aiden wasn't there when Glory did that.
I'm telling you, like, you and Eclipse are absolutely lovely, Cora. But I try not to flirt with the people I work the closest with.
Oh, I'm okay with that. I'm just not sure. I mean, I think she wasn't that great a conversationalist, but I think she was more than eye candy. And Farewell and Eclipse almost died. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's go and find this other dead person to talk to. Jesus.
Oh yes.
Stuart
I've never
goes,
been there when someone dug
we're
up
looking for
the
a dead
body,
person?
so this is gonna be interesting. Oh, Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, this
My
poor
production's
guy.
just a blast.
This poor
I
guy is
thought we were
having
going to Vaughanford.
Yeah, we need to interrogate a guy that died, because we don't know if we killed him or not.
We don't interrogate people. We act.
This guy is having the morning of his life.
Yes, poor guy. Poor guy.
I run the mail, and I've seen some gruesome stuff. I mean, I've had to fight off bandits and goblins and bugbears once. That was dangerous, and I got this scar, and he points to a scar on his leg, fighting the bugbears. But
Do you want to take a sit? Oh, this is why I told you to sit down. It tends to get.
I am sat down, and it's not helping. Let's just pack up camp. I want to get some road under myself. I'll go and sort out the horses.
That's probably a good idea.
Cora's rolling up bedrolls and tents and things.
Sure. So yeah, he grabs hold of the various bits and pieces and starts to break camp.
So do I get? So as I said, I walked over to. So as I said, I'm walking over to Aiden to speak to our resident grump.
Go ahead if you want to have a chat with him.
Yeah. Aiden.
What?
I understand that you were very upset what happened, and I am too. But we have to see it as someone attacking Glory, which is not like someone being attacked is never their fault.
No, I guess it isn't. But she was definitely being attacked for something she did. She wasn't attacked for no reason. She was being attacked
I
because...
was also attacked for something I did. I was attacked when I had an assassin sent after me for something I did. And I almost got killed by the Rinias for stealing the sword of her, which was something I did.
Glory's... How do I say this? Lack of regard for what happens to other people is actually actively going to get us killed, and it almost got you killed. It got someone else killed. Because she didn't care what would happen when she slept with someone that was married.
She didn't know.
Oh yes, she didn't know. Yes. That's wonderful. Listen, I want to make something clear. It's not just that I dislike Glory. You can dislike someone and still work with them. I don't trust Glory. I think she is actively dangerous. And if push comes to shove, I will kill her myself.
Wait, why don't you trust her? What has she done to you?
I'm just... You were there when she fucking sold information, confidential information, just for a couple money. You almost died because of her fucking apathy. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Fuck.
Well, it sounds like we need to, because we need you on board for every member of this team. I saw you not going after the Rinias. We need everybody to work together, and that.
I went after the Irinians because you were attacked by it.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would have done nothing.
And that's a problem.
Fuck.
Because
she is dangerous, and she is probably gonna do some bullshit that it's gonna cost us dearly if she hasn't had already. Not just us, but a lot of people too.
Like, have you actually tried talking to Glory, not just chatting at her and seeing, like, most of how the way she talks, if you noticed, is because of her upbringing and the society she's been in.
Oh, boo-hoo, everyone. Just because you had a shitty upbringing doesn't justify having shitty behavior.
But she's
Find me a fucking river.
Well, what is her shitty behavior? Yes, she sleeps around with women, but it's all consensual.
I'm genuinely staring at Glory in this, not Glory, sorry, Eclipse, in disbelief of, like, you're asking me about shitty behavior when you see her, like you were there when, like, you were there when she fucking, like, during the soiree, and how she was during the soiree, and how she fucking sold confidential information just for shits and giggles and some power, and also how she tends to melt people in acid because it's fun. I'm not saying that, but I'm staring at her in disbelief.
To be fair, you did pretty much say all of those things.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes, she sold some information, and we need to talk to her about it, but none of us have actually talked to her about it yet.
I don't think there's anything to talk about, and I'm honestly really fucking tired of having this conversation. I just want to know what happened in the 3 weeks that we forgot, and then I just want to call it that. Okay?
Because we need you guys to be able to work together, and for you guys to protect each other. You know Glory would protect you no matter what.
That's such a funny joke. No, I don't think she would. I don't trust her in any fucking capacity.
She absolutely would, Aiden, and you know it. And you're being.
I'm actually seeing if people are coming back because like Aiden's just tired of having this argument.
Sure, I mean you can do the and I walk away.
I mean I'm already at the carriage, so I really can't do that. But
Sure.
I'm tired.
You get into the carriage, and as you're getting in, I presume that Cora, Farewell are helping Stuart bring the cases and things back.
Yeah, if we heard a bunch of this.
I was supposed to say, are they? Was the argument loud enough either that we could hear, or when on the way back?
I would say
pick up on their body language.
Like how far away did they walk? If they're at the carriage, I would have thought they were pretty close. So.
Yeah,
they made no effort. No effort of hiding it. My main suggestion to you, Aiden, is you need to actually talk to Glory, because you haven't really spoken to her at all. You've just been judging her a lot.
What is
Aiden, all you've done is judge her. You've never actually talked to her. And that's not fair. And you know it.
Thing is, I think everybody here, from the players to Rattle, watching at the moment, knows that conversation will just be Glory talking and Aiden getting more and more, going further down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Glory's unfettered honesty about who she actually is, and Aiden's very strong opinions about what certain people should be.
Yeah, it's one of her redeeming qualities, is her absolute honesty about the things she does. The problem is how much people accept the things she does. So yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So Stuart gets up into the top of the carriage, looks at the bench seat next to him where normally the guard would sit, kind of checks his crossbow to make sure that's loaded and ready, and says,
"Actually, I'm gonna offer to go shotgun if that will make him feel easier."
"Hey, you've got the gun. Come on up, mate."
Before he gets up there, I'm just gonna pop a hand on his shoulder, and very quietly, I understand. Let's talk when this is done. Let's not make any decisions now. Okay?
Sure.
Okay, let's get in, guys. Come on, we've got a long ride ahead of us.
Glory will bring one of the tents in, the broken tent into the carriage with her and start patching it up because she has sewing kit in her bag.
Sure.
You never know when you need to fix a dress.
Do you have a tailor tools proficiency?
Don't think so, actually.
Okay.
At least not on your my character sheet, but I imagine that is something Glory does, since she likes to design her own jewelry, as we've established.
Mm-hmm. Just for the fun, roll me a dex check. Just a straight dex check.
+0!
That is a 15.
Okay. Yeah, you think you've done quite well. Yeah, you're there. You're like, yep, that's a nice straight seam that I've put in it, and we'll see how it holds up, if it needs to hold up to anything else.
Yeah.
So you go through the landscape of South Vardencourt. Now, the landscape of the old empire is a little bit of a strange landscape. And I found this piece of classical art that's up on the stream now, and it pretty much describes it to a T. Every square inch of South Vardencourt is not only owned, but probably has 2 or 3 outstanding claims due to somebody's, distant cousin's ancestor that directly means that they own that land. Almost every part of it is disputed. As a result, there are often duplicates of roads and trails where sometimes the land would have maybe been cut and one person was putting a toll down, and then just an insultingly close distance away another road was put in, maybe another bridge over a river, and another toll bridge was put up that was obviously undercutting the first one. Land and title is everything in South Vardencourt. You've been travelling for some time now, and most of the waypoints that you've visited have been crossroad taverns, heavily fortified taverns, with stone walls, often a border wall around them as well, for all the different skirmishes and things that would happen along the way. There's quite hardy buildings here in the old empire, not least of which everybody wants to have their legacy, so most people build things in such a way that they're going to last, and usually will have some sort of flourish or fresco or maker's mark that will mean that someone's legacy lives on. You're sheltered for most of Vardencourt life, old empire life in Ostergeld, because it has such a character of its own. There's a reason why people flock to the city, as dirty and as hard life as life is there. You're protected in more ways than one. Yes, you don't have to worry about roaming goblins, and you don't have to worry to a certain extent about disease and things like that. Ironically, the city has a very heavy control on disease. You don't have to worry about the poverty that people would have in the countryside, but of course you don't have the idyllic setting as well. What you do have is proper Vardencourt life. And that is that if your land is being disputed by 2 or 3 people, you might find 2 or 3 tax collectors coming up to get tax. And you could probably barely afford the first one. They would probably use a load of pomp and circumstance to drive you out of your farm or your homestead or whatever, to acquire the land even more and place their own people, their loyal people inside. And maybe you'll be looked over for a generation or 2, the new incumbent, before it happens again. Generally, everybody feels like a pawn, a chess piece, out here in the countryside. Most of the wandering labourers are taxed ad hoc as they're going across the road, and some people can't afford to go to the next homestead or farmstead that requires a fruit picker or a labourer because they can't afford the toll to get between the two. This countryside here has the very worst of decadence and austerity and old imperial values. Anybody who finds themselves at the bottom of society here is just taken up, thrown into a pauper's prison and forgot about. Indentured, effectively enslaved, but enslaved by contracts rather than anything else, because real slavery doesn't occur here, apparently. The Shacklemen would disagree. The freedom fighter seaborne faction that takes down any form of slavery still holds South Vardencore in distaste because of the practices that they have for indentureship. Finally, if you don't end up in the first two categories, you'll be thrown into the infantry. You'll be taken up and put into some duke's regiment, barely trained, given some rusty sword and armour that was taken off a corpse of the last piece of cannon fodder, and then thrown to the front lines, normally with some screaming sergeant behind that will stop you from running away, or at least shoot you with a crossbow if you do. Life out here is cruel. There's a reason why people flock to the cities. The more successful cities they can go to, so much the better. And out here there's another game that they play as people try to find a patron. Some form of patron, some member of the Imperium that would be able to vouch for them and protect them and, well, in some ways avenge them if they do get taken down by somebody else. But the problem is the second you take on a patron, you also end up being targeted by their enemies. There's no real way to win out here. And the people that you see out here are hard, cruel, faced. They're ready to fight for their lives. They're ready to make whatever deals will get them to get through the next day, to get them to their next pay packet. Allegiances can be bought here, and bought for very little. This is very much a hard-knock countryside. And the thing is, as they look at you, and I think this is probably most of a shock for Aiden, Cora, and Farewell, is that as they look at you in your beautiful, pristine mail coach, the fast, sleek horses that pull it, they're looking at you with absolute disdain. Now, Glory knows the small folk will be jealous and look at you with some form of jealousy for what you have. But hey, they don't try for it, do they, Glory? They don't work for it. They don't play the game. For Eclipse, it's harder for her to notice. Maybe she just thinks that the people around here are just a little grumpy. She doesn't quite pick up on the same thing because they don't really have this in Austron. And she's only really known Austron and Ostergold. She hasn't really travelled the countryside all that much. For Farewell, it's a particular shock because the caravan that he is usually part of, they are normally saluted as they go past, being representatives of the gods, selfless workers that look after the dead and dying, the sick, the elderly. They get respect. They get a look of sympathy and support, being one of the few factions out here on the road that will help the small folk. But even now, as Farewell looks out, he's seen with far different faces.
I used to prefer it when they were just scared of me because I wasn't human. It's rough out here. I wonder if it was this bad when we came through the first time.
What Aiden's gonna do is that he's gonna try really hard not to see them in the eye, but he feels really shitty.
Strangely, Aiden, you notice that they're glaring at the carriage, but they're not glaring at you. Anybody who meets your eye thinks that you're a caravan guard, and as far as they're concerned, that's a respectable job. Anybody who's willing to rough it out here, they're okay by them. And you notice that they don't look at Stuart with this form of disdain as well. Your workers.
I'll be... At the moment, I would say I'm riding on the top of the carriage, just keeping general lookout as well. On the roof.
You don't really look like a caravan guard. There's a certain... You probably get some confused looks, Eclipse. But you all catch the general look of disdain. It's mostly because this is a highly polished, clearly very expensive carriage. It's a symbol. They're glaring mostly at the carriage. Okay. So.
Well, hold on. Just going to take that a moment. I can hear you.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm muted. You can hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
We could hear you.
The microphone is literally muted. What are you hearing me? Okay.
We can hear you through something else.
Phantom microphone. Microphone. Phone.
She's found the surveillance bug.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'll stop talking about you all then.
Indeed.
Glory, I think you're going to need to talk to Aiden. Yeah, because
I know. But I'm not sure he would be willing to listen.
No, sorry, I mean that wrong. I mean, he talks, you listen.
Oh.
He know you are, and I can't believe I'm saying this, wonderfully you, all the time.
Yeah.
And you are not afraid or ashamed of who and what you are and where you come from. I think you are astute enough to know that what you do is not what's done here, and we have trouble associating your rampant need to kill anything that breathes with the glory.
Everything that breeds. Only things that disrespect or insult me.
Which is a large percentage of the population, considering the work that we do.
True.
But to reconcile that with the same glory that bought me this, and Farrell points to the brooch. You know, that's a moment of generosity and kindness that for you did just because you wanted to do something nice. He doesn't see that. I didn't see that at first.
Well,
but I like to watch, and I like to observe, and I like to...
How do you say this? It's like a thing... it's how my mom taught me. You protect your treasure, and Papa always said, you should treasure those closest to you. So, since you guys are mine, I should protect you. You're my treasure, right? That's how it works.
I'm not... We'll come back to that point.
Okay.
Like I said, I think the important thing is that he thinks you're going to kill us. And you may never, ever convince him otherwise. But you should try and at least show him that really you pose as much threat to him as I do. And maybe out of all of us, him, I mean, I've never seen him this emotional. I've never seen him this engaged on any subject in the, what, 6-7 weeks we've known each other? And then, and then suddenly it assumes maybe, and this sounds strange, but this could be the door to find out what he is?
Well, I don't quite see why he's so upset with me. He did mention the contract when talking to Eclipse, and
I'm very angry with you about that as well, but now we haven't really had the time to deal with that.
I was doing exactly what Renata said when she hired us. I am here to play the game for you guys. That's what I did.
Yeah, but we had decided we didn't want to play that game, and you made a decision against what we'd asked you to do, and people don't like that. People don't like being treated like pawns. I don't. Aiden definitely doesn't. Maybe
that is true.
Like I said, just actually listen to him. And if he's an asshole, then you punch him. Just try not to melt him.
Yeah.
Because that's a little bit harder for me to stick him back together again. Whereas punching him, probably easier, and you never know, you might knock some sense into it.
Minus damage punch.
I don't know, I imagine Glory's got a pretty mean right hook.
I was gonna say tail, but sure.
Oh yeah.
If it comes for the right and it's a swinging one, it's a hook. It doesn't really matter if it's fist or it's tail.
I just love the idea that Glory, as Farewell's given her this advice, she's writing down on a hand in biro, because apparently they exist. Fists, not acid. And then, just for good measure, puts it on the other side of the hand. Fists, not acid. Okay.
We are at a turning point, is all I'm saying. And this could go either very badly or very well. And I'd hate to lose both of you. And that's the honest truth. Now, if you don't mind, I had a very busy night and I think I need a bit more sleep. And I'm going to settle in at least for a bit of a nap before we get there.
Okay.
You do that.
You carry on along the road, and most of the day is an uneventful one. You stop mostly only for bathroom breaks and the like. Occasional need to rub down the horses and let them feed in nearby fields. And the various places where you pick up a few bits and pieces like fresh water for the meager villages that you go through.
Cabbage.
Lots of cabbage. Just fields of cabbage.
Handing out swords is not an appropriate way for a form of government.
Well, where I did the cabbage before is actually a Terry Pratchett reference. In Soul Music, when they go on tour, they end up playing I Spy, but the only thing to see is cabbage. So, yeah. Anyway,
telling he's the king, he's the only one not covered in shit.
The road is mean and winding.
She turned me into a duck.
This is clearly not a road that was put together for the purposes of major commerce, but one that is meant to wind around all the various villages and places. You think that this is probably some sort of tax collector's road. It's always a carriage wide throughout the entire length, sometimes for longer sections or sections that interact with other major routes. It's a little wider, but it's always a carriage wide, and you end up making good time as you travel along. Occasionally you get the interesting break, and instead of cabbages you get sheep. But it is a very remarkably... Mm-hmm.
Kate wanted some.
Yes, Cora?
We can't hear you.
Go the other direction.
It's because I muted physically with various things. Don't understand. Can you actually? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Weird. I was just thinking that I expect at least some of this journey that Cora would be looking out of the window, desperately trying to trigger a memory of the trip that they took before.
Okay.
FY. I'm sure it's not, but that's something that
I'm happy to have that that attempt. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is, what would I like? I would like an intelligence saving throw.
Remember, you can reroll that
Okay.
once.
Yeah, it's not a 1, but it's like it's a 6.
Pretty shitty.
And I'm pretty sure I'm not intelligent, so I have no pluses. 6.
I remember that
saving
tree.
throw as well, but I don't think that makes no difference.
You come to the conclusion, Cora, that you're going to need more than madness-inducing levels of cabbage to trigger a memory.
Yeah.
You probably need to find something that is a bit of an icon. Maybe something that your brain would use as a bookmark. Something strange, out of the ordinary, emotion-evoking, or just odd. Something noteworthy to really go for it. Once you find a detail like that, you're pretty sure you'll have a better chance of doing things. Okay.
Cool.
So, you carry on across the road, along the road, and the road starts to get winding as the picture that I've put up on the stream. And you cross over a small hillock, much like the one on the left of the picture, and turn a corner only to find a field has been uprooted and it is completely covered in Imperial soldiers.
Hello.
Already know
Dead or alive?
alive, but you can
Oh.
tell that they have been
That's a
in
fair
battles
question.
because they do have walking wounded. There are some people who have just got bandages around their midsection. Some have got arms in slings. Some have are hobbling around on makeshift crutches. Others are absolutely fine, and some people are drilling. Some people are resting. It doesn't look like they're making a long camp. It looks like they're just taking a rest. So it looks like they've been route marched. And as you get closer, you can get some snippets of conversation. So in the Old Empire, there's this type of soldier. So these are, I think these are the Welsh Guards at one point here in the UK. And they're roughly what you would expect. So you've got some cavalry wielding swords on horseback, and they'll have some shields and things as well. So not fully like this. The one thing that you do notice is that there are black powder weapons. So not only do you have some groups, some sections of this this standing force that have crossbows and indeed archers that aren't wearing regular uniform. They're wearing mostly just kind of dyed clothing, so clothing that's been dyed a certain colour, and they've only got badges on the arm. And then you've got the regulars, who are the fully paid infantry, not the press gang guys, who are dressed mostly in this kind of way. So they've got a kind of reddish armour with bright barding, showing the Duke Ostergald's colours. And immediately you can see, yeah, you know, we're quite close to Ostergald still, even though we're a few days out.
Yeah.
We're still in his lands. So this is clearly part of his army. Now, as I've mentioned before, Duke Ostergald loves his war. He loves waging land war. He's very much got bards to go around the city, romanticising his battles, even though if you ask around the simple folk, and Cora and Farewell and Eclipse, even Iden, I think to a certain extent, has been in enough taverns to have heard that most of his wars, he takes huge losses, but they're huge losses of the people he throws at the front lines. And it's all for glory. Not glory, but, you know, lowercase glory. And
I was just gonna say, Aiden did throw down with one of his recruiters.
He did. He threw down with a recruitment officer that
Hell
had
yeah.
this uniform on.
Viva la
Now-
revolución.
Indeed. So
Viva la revolution.
you get closer and you realise the following things are happening. So those who are being drilled are, and again, you may have heard this through rumour, or it's something that you just kind of get. The people who are being drilled are the people who ended up at the back of the column, the people who have straggled. And they are being drilled so that they can be exhausted for the next section, because things don't have to make sense when you're in the military. You can just keep punishing people until they do what you say. The second part is that you can see a certain section of this army are decamping to go back to the city. So clearly some large battle has been waged. You don't know the current who has insulted who, which archduke has argued with which viscount. You don't really keep up with that type of stuff. Even Glory finds it boring because compared to the game, it's very droll and very dry.
Nothing like the petty squabbles. Like at least there's something interesting.
Exactly. And there doesn't have the personal touch, just making people line up on a field and kill each other. It doesn't have that personal touch that you guys have. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take out a city, the least you can do is some sort of, daring incursion with special forces and things. I mean, this field stuff is just boring. It's just pretty shapes made up of people who are going to die in a few minutes.
Yep.
So you can see that part of this force are decamping, and as part of that, they are giving away their weapons to a certain extent because they're close enough to the city now that they are away from enemy lines. And they are going through the forces, finding out who is so injured that they have to go back and who is okay to go on for the next part of their campaign. There's a guard on the road itself, and you can see that they're flagging down Stuart and the coach, and you see that they've made some sort of makeshift I guess it's like a toll point or an inspection point, and Stuart mutters to Aiden, "Don't worry about this, we've got the symbol. I'll throw a few gold their way as well just to make sure that we get through faster.
Sure.
This is standard practice for my lot, don't worry about it." You get closer still, and you can hear that there are sergeants, men-at-arms, who are screaming at soldiers who have got some injuries, and these soldiers are claiming that their injuries mean that they should go home. And the sergeants are like, "What are you on about? That's just a nick. You need far more of that before you become a real man," and all the rest of this stuff. And it's very much an aggressive and confrontational scene. A lot of the guys that are leaving to go back to the city are being penned together in one section, and they're being filtered through a bunch of makeshift folding desks that have been put together in this field, and they are handing over something to the guys at these desks, and the guys at the desks are giving them either coins or whatever, presumably giving them their last pay before they go back to the city. In some cases, you can see that there are soldiers arguing. In some cases, they are given a piece of paper. This could be, for example, a promotion or a writ, maybe a bank order, if it's too much that they can't give them the coin here and now. Depending on who's going back, what they've done for the army, what position they are, and so on. And you can see that some of the guys who are now trudging back across the fields, they're not taking the road for some reason, they're deciding on the fields instead. Some of them are trudging with their head held low, and some of them are looking really animated and kind of, talking to each other because they've clearly got paid more than they expected. And at this point, Aiden particularly can see that you guys are being pulled over by some guards. But before that, Felicia, you put your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, when they see that there's like a whole thingamagog that I don't know. You mentioned doing good earlier, Farewell.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get through this without spending any gold. I mean, those soldiers look like they could use a few cures.
Yeah. I don't think you've been around soldiers much. Most of these people are not professionals. They've signed on, they've taken what would be the local equivalent to shilling, Simon?
The local equivalent to a shilling, I guess, is a silver.
So
I mean, you can get a decent meal for a silver, whereas you can just about eat on a couple of coppers.
It's more along the lines of what would be half a day's pay, basically.
Half a day's pay is it? Half a day's pay for a. It depends what position you have. For career infantry, a half a day's pay is about 3 shillings. Three silver. And for somebody, a draftsman, somebody who's just been pulled in, depending on what their position is, it could be anything from 5 copper to a silver. But normally the meals are given to them, so that's considered not too unreasonable. You've got a tent that you can sleep in. They feed you. Granted, not a huge amount. You get field rations. It's not the best. It's probably biscuits and gravy with a few bits of meat. But it's a life, and some people manage to save up enough to get started with a small business by stepping into the infantry for a while.
A lot of these people have signed on to take the Duke's silver simply as money. They didn't want to fight, they didn't want to die, and they didn't want to get hurt. Healing them up and sending them straight back out to war might be the last thing that they want. You just don't know. And we've learnt from experience that sometimes with soldiers, best to leave them alone and let them do their own thing. They would have their own war priests there that would have spent spells to keep who they needed in the front line, and they would have had their own aid and stuff. The ones that they're sending back, to be honest with you, there's maybe a good chance a lot of them will be happy to go home and miss their families and are looking for a reason to not have to fight anymore.
I suppose these wars are quite boring. I don't understand why would you send large armies to just batter each other. Like, back home we at least do some fun stuff if we're gonna have wars.
You're asking the wrong man. I'm just a humble priest. I'm just a cleric.
True.
Simon, dragons certainly don't wage war in uninteresting ways, put it that way. So Scouran wars are always interesting.
Out of curiosity, as we see this camp set up, does there look like there's anything of particular in the officers' area, anything a little bit higher nobility? Mainly, I'm looking out because we recall that the Duke's son was summoned to the front.
All right.
And we don't. It's out of curiosity. Maybe he's here.
Okay, do me a perception check.
Okie dokie, I get to roll.
You're good at those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 21.
21. You get to see the epicenter of the camp straight away. You scan over the whole thing and you go, yep, it's there. You can see that there's a figure who's quite clearly not Tristane. You've also seen the bust of Duke Ostergold. It's not him either. But clearly there's something going on in the distance. You do know that Duke Ostergold's family are most of the more rambunctious members of his family take positions in his military. It's the best way to prove that they're not out to betray him, is to go out and potentially die for him. So a lot of them are persuaded to go in that direction. Those who are considered of enough military prowess to threaten him. And there's this, as I say, quite, what would I call it? Quite officious looking person who is currently standing at his full height and looking over the head of a farmer who seems to be quite irate, but still has his head bowed and his cap in his hand as he's red-facedly explaining that the troops have pretty much cleaned him out of most of his crops. And you can see as you're watching that the haughty-looking fellow who is he's got like a regulation black hair, slightly pale. You have a feeling that if you got closer, you might see that he's actually powdered his face, aristocracy style, and he's wearing a kind of brocade and cravat, and he's wearing riding jodhpurs and these tall military riding
An
boots.
asshole. A prick.
And he nods to a clerk that's next to him, and the clerk opens up a box, picks out a small pouch of coin, walks up to the farmer and places it into the farmer's hand. The farmer looks at it and kind of weighs it in his hand, and carries on with his irate speech. You can't hear it from here, but you can see from the body language with the 21 that whatever this farmer was just given, he was fucked for the value. And he carries on with his protest, but pretty much as one, this officious-looking character and all the clerks turn on their heel and walk away, leaving the farmer to just kind of consider his options as he's looking at the coin in his hand. And he starts to wander dejectedly throughout the camp. At this point, you guys... Go on.
Do anyone else see this? Or just Farrell?
Farrell was the only one looking, and I'm going to cut to the fact that you have been called over by these guards, but you can investigate this camp. I've put it here so you can explore it, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Oh my.
This guard, who is a half-elf, he's quite clearly a regular. He's got immaculate uniform on, which means either he's really good at fighting or he hasn't fought yet.
Armchair.
Holds up his hand
general.
and says, "Ave citizens, please introduce yourself to us. We would know you before you pass on. Don't worry, this is not an inspection. This is not any form of reprimand. We're just making sure we know who we pass as we go along."
I just give Stuart a look because I'm like, I mean, you said you're the one who knows about this thing, so I guess do your magic.
Sure. You notice that Stuart normally wears like a kind of floppy brimmed, kind of almost rain jacket material hat. So it's kind of like waxed leather hat. It looks quite ridiculous, but it keeps both the sun and the rain off him, so he doesn't give a damn if people mock him for it. And he takes the hat off straight away, puts it to his chest, and he goes, do excuse me, Captain. I'm just humble Carter, taking some VIPs from the Green Organization of Ostergald, and you notice he's actually put on an accent. And he says, to Vaughanford, we would be most grateful, sir, if you could tell us if there's any danger between here and Vaughanford. And the soldier says, of course, my good man. The Green Organization, yes, very well known, and I'm from Ostergard myself. Don't you know? I'm near the palace. You probably don't know it. But yes, you'll be pleased to know, citizen, that we have managed to get some of Lord Darren's fiendish raiders and agents to flee after he insulted our Duke, our benefactor.
With every word of that, you can see Aiden get progressively more exhausted.
Definitely. This guy has no idea. He doesn't even regard your emotional state. If anything, this guy is so about pumping himself up that he's probably not even paying attention to Stuart. And you notice the way that Stuart's putting on this act that he's deliberately being a guy that you don't pay attention to. You know, he's kind of already thrown this caricature at this soldier, and the soldier's completely bought it and is just kind of effectively talking because he likes the sound of his own voice. He says, we have paid the price, we've taken the toll of the dangers that you would have to face, my good man. So don't you worry at all. I don't suppose you have any guild papers? Immediately Stuart jumps as if he's been shot. He goes, well, of course, sir, of course, and reaches under his seat for a kind of an oilskin pouch that he has, which you know is like a waterproof document case, undoes the lacing and unrolls the top and pulls out the paperwork. And you notice it's got all the guild seals for the Carters Guild, and there's a bunch of others, and there's a letter of marque from Renata in there. You can see the the Renata seal on it in 3 colours of wax, black, green, and gold. And he hands them to the soldier. Now, the soldier likes to think he's an important person. You know, I mean, he's clearly got some sort of position here. Although you doubt it's the captain that Stuart said. You have a feeling that Stuart's kind of regarded him as higher than his station. Again, a way of charming the captain. And he looks through it all, and he sees this beautifully scribed letters of marque, and you can tell the guy is impressed. And he goes, well met indeed. You know, clearly you are carrying people of caliber, my good friend, which is why I can see that your guard here, he's got that fine pistol by his side, only the best. Well, you'll have no problems here. Indeed, if you wish to join us in this camp, if there's anything that we can do for you, or maybe if there's any wares that you would like to sell, we will give you good prices to add any of the wares that you might be carrying to our war party. Don't worry, we won't be commissioning them from you, or commandeering, them from you. We will pay fair coin, of course. And you can tell the only reason he's paying fair coin is that you've got a bunch of letters that say "Don't fuck with us," just in longer words. He hands back the letters, and he doesn't seem intimidated by the letters. He just knows that he has to use a particular script.
How loud is he sweating?
He's not sweating per se, but you can tell that his script that he has to use, it's almost like those call centers where you have to press 1 for this or 2 for that, and then there's clearly another script after that once you press that button. These letters have clearly managed to get 4, which is VIP, don't fuck with these guys and be polite, and that's what he's defaulted as. He started kind of that way just on the condition of the horses and the coach alone, but then it's confirmed, oh yeah, I'm going to charm these guys, and he thinks he's doing great. He's not even trying to see what kind of response is there. He's not doing any insight checks on you all. He just thinks he's the mutt's nuts, and he's, delivering this wonderful patter to you all.
Whereas Aiden is receding into his own bar.
Existing. By the way, is Eclipse still on the roof?
Yeah, I'm just saying
Yeah, he doesn't know, the captain doesn't know how to regard the tabaxi on top of the carriage. He doesn't know if you're like another guard or even a pet, so he's decided to default on the upper class way of dealing with this, and that is ignoring your existence completely.
Yeah, and I can imagine for us that is sat inside the carriage, we're just going, what the fuck is taking so long?
If we can hear it.
Somebody.
Whereas Aiden in his head, you can hear, "Hello, darkness, my old friend."
Was it just like, can we fucking go already?
Like, I'm not saying anything because I know that Aiden opening his mouth will cause problems, but he's just receding into his own body. He's fucking done.
Like, if this continues, then I am sure that Aiden will shoot the guy.
Yeah.
Because that's where this is gonna end up.
I'd like to think he kind of shoots the guy and then just goes, "Didn't do it." So Stuart takes back the letters and puts them back in the pouch, ties it up, and he goes, "Oh well, thank you, Captain. Thank you. sirs, madams, you'll find that you are welcome at this camp. He calls down into the carriage so that you guys can hear. You're welcome to take rest at this camp in safety if you wish, and we've already found that the way ahead is clear. What would you like to do?
What time is it?
You've made good time. You haven't had any delays. Yeah, you could take a short rest, maybe half an hour here, and you know it won't impact on your travel.
Speaking of short rest here, can we take a rest?
I suppose the horses need a little bit of rest.
So the captain hears Glory's voice talk about the horses, and he says, "Oh, but of course, my lady, we will have hay and water brought for them. You over there," and you can see two guys who are walking with their shilling, their final pay, and he goes, "You go get a water trough and some hay," and they go to kind of point out to him that they are technically no longer employed by the army, and then they see the look on his face and run off to get it.
Yeah. I think what Rodrigo said is, because we're speaking of short rest, let's take a short rest in real life.
Yep. We've hit half past, so I'm going to put up both the Ren trailer during the break, and
the vote.
Also I will do a rerun of the First Love D&D signals that we did. So
and don't forget to go see the Ren guys. I think it's this weekend, or is it next weekend at MCM Comic Con?
Yes.
I wish I could go.
If anyone's at MCM Comic Con on Saturday, and you see a bunch of people walking around with those helmets on, then come up and say hi.
I wish I could
go. It's kind of obvious, so yes.
Well,
we're actually having a meetup, I think, at 1:00, but we haven't specifically said where, so it's on our Facebook event. Yeah.
That's perfect. I wish I could be at this MCM, but I'm fully aiming to be there for MCM October. I think you're going to be there as well, Kate?
No specific plans, but probably trying to do something. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Maybe we'll even have some stuff to show. I have no idea by then. Who knows?
Sure. Well, as I say, I know that myself and Corinne are going to be attempting to go there, and I'm going to be taking that opportunity if there's any of the guys that have been part of the Follow Friday recently, and the new friends that we've made regarding podcasts and things through Twitter. If they're there, we'll be doing some form of meetup, maybe record a few things. If James and Steph are there of Geeky Clean, I'd like to do a recording of looking through some of their stuff with them.
Why can't you guys just come over instead?
Yes, because that would be the cheapest option.
Just take MCM, the whole of MCM over to El Salvador. I'm up for it.
Please.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Please.
I have a week in summer I'm not doing anything because Simon's fucked off. I can come to El Salvador.
Not that she's bitter about it.
Well, no, she has to go and find other adventures as I go off and do the whole family thing. So we're going to take a quick break now, and we will catch up with everybody in about 10 minutes' time. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh boy, we're getting some shit done.
Sorry for
Catch me. Come on, you're gonna give it back.
The Carnath protect us.
Why don't you like them?
You don't know them as I do.
I know they saved us from the marked ones.
There's only one reason why they're being let off.
But no one here has ever seen a marked one. Who are you? Get out here!
Amari spirit. It's found a new vessel.
Mark.
Done, Ren.
You won't go away, will you, Ren? I can't leave. My family needs me.
All the people you know will think you're evil, dangerous. They will hunt you down.
Anyone caught harming a mark will be punished. Anyone caught helping a mark will be punished. Anyone caught in support of a mark will be punished.
Today we're speaking with Heroes of Renown, a charismatic D&D 5th edition podcast where we follow a group of steampunk fantasy heroes as they perform a mission for their proto-fascist government, I think they called it. Listening to this podcast, I was immediately felt that I was in the room with friends that I'd known for years and being delighted not only by the colour and detail of the narrative, but also from the bright, memorable characters. Hello, Heroes of Renown.
Hello.
So, before we hear about the characters a little, about the setting, Joe, can you tell us about your world and current campaign? Joe, by the way, is the DM.
Hello, I am Joe the DM. It's set in the world of Artemis Prima, a world homebrew. It is steampunk. There is a lot of science fiction influences in it, as well as fantasy. It is, as you quite rightly mentioned, a proto-fascist regime. It's basically an industrial-military complex where the skills that you have as a person are funneled through either the clergy or the military, and they are your paths through life, and they will be set out for you very, very quickly. If you are in the military, you are known as the chosen of Artemis Prima.
Yeah, that word "chosen's" been thrown about a lot, and I can't help but feel that's a little bit of ego stroking on the characters. It's like, hey, you're the chosen to go into this death trap, and you're right that there's a lot of sci-fi. I get a lot of sci-fi boxes ticked when I watch it. Everything from Dark City to I really don't know what, but it hits a lot of things. And I had a little bit of what's that? Was it Mortal Engines? The city rolling over the landscape. If a city on giant tracks does appear in this, I would not be at all surprised. It's fantastic. So, can we hear a little bit about your players and their characters?
Of course, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Leah. I play Cortesia Delaney, so she is a hybrid ranger. I'm actually an outsider to the world, but my skills are pretty honed, so that's why I'm here. My character has wings, which is her kind of like defining characteristic. I think she might regret them because she's constantly having to tell people that she can't fly.
Yep.
I'm Chloe, and I play the Modron Druid.
I think you cut out just for a second there. That's Cinto X9.
Yeah, Cinto X9, the Modron Druid that runs around trying to smash things, but I'm really squishy, actually, to be honest. And I'm part of the City Guard, but I'm loyal to my group over anything else, so...
Be good to have around.
And about the only player the only character that I think I can actually draw, because she's basically a disc with arms and legs.
Yeah, that's right.
There has been a lot of discussion of what shape exactly Cinto X9 is. We have got into way more sort of deep mathematical discussion than I imagined we would.
All of the spherical things.
Hi, I'm James. I'm playing Shade, who's sort of the second half of the robotic dynamic duo in our little group. He's a warforged envoy rogue who's basically built from the ground up to sneak around, kill, do whatever he needs to do whatever he needs to. So he's a bit of an enigma so far, but there might be some deep backstory.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about Shade, you said right from session 1, is he's got a reconfigurable face.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. And this is a world, I guess, where Warforged being able to change their appearance doesn't mean that somebody goes, hey, they're still a Warforged, so I recognize who they are, because everybody's got that steampunk element to them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can quite easily blend in quite a few places.
Fantastic.
Huge amount of body modification in the setting as well. So everyone's got like orgies, or what they call them, augmentations.
Yeah.
And I'm Matt. I play Renfield, a soldier who had eye implanted into his chest that contains a fragment of like a sentient weapon, and his gaining powers and voices and
yeah,
sinister things are happening to him as a result of it.
Yeah, as I tweeted out today, I think episode 3 has got to be my favourite so far. I'm on episode 4 now. But that moment where that blood comes up and the eye stays open, I'm like, whoa, okay, getting major fizz here. Fantastic. So, if our viewers want to hear your adventures or follow you, I've got the Twitter up, which is of renown. But other than that, is there anywhere else that we need to look? Maybe your own personal Twitters or any other place we should look for you in podcast?
Sure. Well, you can look for us on Facebook and Instagram. You just search Heroes of Renown in either Facebook or Instagram. We're there. We're on Podbean, so if you just search Heroes of Renown on Podbean, you can find all of our episodes. And we are soon to be on iTunes as well, so that's very exciting.
Fantastic.
So look out for us on iTunes. You can check our website, heroes-renown.weebly.com, because if nothing, we wanted to make it difficult to find.
Okay. So heroes-of-renown-weebly.com. heroes-of-renown.weebly.com. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay. It cut out a few times, so I thought it bore repeating. So at least put that down. The joys of Discord. Okay, fantastic. Well, that's pretty much everything that we've got, and we'll be able to slip this into our break. Thank you very much, Heroes of Renown. I'll certainly carry on listening to you. I know some of the other players are just starting now, and carry on listening to us. I know one or two of you do. And your first session was our last one, which was chaotic. It was absolutely terrible. Well, terrible good. But that's all we've got time for to slip into the break. So, Heroes of Renown, thank you for your time, and I look forward to carrying on following your adventures.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's lovely to speak to you.
Bye.
Welcome back, everybody. So, you guys are able to leave the carriage if you wish, have a look around the camp, and take a bit of a rest from the jostling and bumping of the road, and maybe find out a little bit more about the local area, what's going on. Maybe these guys travelled through Vaughanford or the nearby area, and you can ask some of the locals or find out what's going on within this camp.
And stretch your legs a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
If Farrell points out the guy we saw, I would like to go and find him.
Sure. You can. I was about to say you can ask, but you can't ask because you don't know that he saw it. So Farewell would have to say, "Oh, the leader of the camp is over there." As you get out of the carriage, the captain. Well, he's not a captain, but
obviously
the soldier locks
Here comes the captain.
Locks onto Glory as being the ranking member because she's got a priest with her. She's got a halfling. Who may also be of some sort of nobility, but Glory dresses to impress. So he locks on her, making the the presumption that she is the ranking member, and walks straight up, snaps a very sharp salute, and
I jump down from the roof.
Sure. Again, he continues with dealing with you by just refusing to acknowledge your existence. And he goes up and says, "Mom! How can I help you?"
Sir?
Let's see. You did bring water and some hay for the horses, right?
Yeah, that's been brought over. You can see a bunch of guys are bringing over like troughs of water and a couple of bales of hay.
Maybe
Good,
you
good.
can tell us.
You don't happen to have some ale for our lovely sharpshooter up there?
Of course, we keep a certain amount for the libations of the troops. We will see to it that some get to him. And then he kind of looks at you and says, "Are you sure you want him to be inebriated on the road if he's going to need to keep a careful eye?" And he kind of taps.
Well,
he taps
you did
the
say you had
pistol at
cleared
his
it out,
at his hip.
hadn't you?
What's that, sorry?
You said you had cleared it out, hadn't you?
Well, yes, of course. It's completely safe. But
it's completely
and he realizes that there's no way that he's going to be able to backtrack from this, and he goes, "We will fetch it straight away." And he takes his hand off his pistol. He seems to think that Aiden's pistol is much like his own, whereas he's got a shitty one-shot pistol, and Aiden has, effectively, well, he has a witchlock. And this guy can clearly not tell the difference. He just thinks that Aiden's pistol is just kind of pimped. And so
I'll ask him. So I was gonna say something about camp.
You men, give this man some ale so that he can be more fortified against the elements. And for the cart driver as well. You're welcome, young man.
Sir?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I was asking if you could give us all a tour of the camp. So whose land are we on at the moment?
Oh, we're on some farmland that's been temporarily commandeered. The farmer, of course, being well paid for his service, although technically he should be feeling grateful that he has managed to help protect our countryside by allowing us to...
Well, you're eating all his crops, aren't you?
Well, not all of his crops. We've taken some, and we have recompensed him for it. This is war, young cat. And, when you're in war, you haven't got time to do negotiations. We know how much a turnip costs and how much a cabbage costs. We've given him a good, fair price for everything that he has had here. And really, it's all it is plants. You just have to watch them grow. I mean, how much work did he put into it, really?
By the way... Do you
How
have
much
someone
did you give him?
higher up in church?
That's no business of yours. Yes, Marie?
Oh, it absolutely is, sir.
Soon, sweetie.
Eclipse. No.
I was
no.
wondering if there's someone of a bit better status to talk to. I'm curious about this war. It sounds so fascinating, you know?
Well,
I've
of course,
heard of all
we
the
have
exploits.
we do have the young Baron Hector Ostergald. If you are interested, and I'm sure that I can tip the wink and maybe even have to grease a few palms, but I can get you a short audience with him if you so wish, milady.
That would be lovely. Eclipse dearie, would you like to escort me to this?
Oh, sure.
You notice that he has gone back to ignoring the Eclipse and absolutely just locking on to Glory. He did grit his teeth and he looked like he was about to scream at Eclipse when she turned around and said that he wasn't paying the farmer fairly. But then, thankfully, Glory shushed Eclipse and he was just like, yes, keep... He gave a look as if to say, yes, keep her in check. And then after that, he was just kind of back to... trying to stick his nose as far up Glory's ass as he could.
Does he have, like, a pouch or something on him?
Oh, please don't fucking rob people.
I couldn't show how roguey sounds much.
Do it!
Oh, Jesus.
I expected this.
So you...
Do it when he has his back turned, at least.
So you can see that this guy is probably a lieutenant. So he is a
Lieutenant.
standing officer. He's not a captain. He's a standing officer, and he is one of the administrative people here. You can tell this because he has a document pouch that's off to one side where he can send letters to various places. He can create writs. He's got probably copies of a number of different forms that are required. And you can tell his sword hasn't got any... Well, his sword is in a sheath. But you can tell with his armour hasn't got a single notch in it. He's probably writing down battle statistics while the battle is going on. And he's only kind of at the forefront now because the most dangerous thing that he's going to come across is a drunk carter. And he's got on him, you can see... he's got his pistol, he's got a gunpowder horn, he's got a shot pocket, so he can reload. And next to the shot pocket, you do see that he's got a roll that will probably contain a coin purse and some letters of marque as well that he can use to pay off various people and supplies. He is of the clerical side, so he does have on him a visible coin purse.
Right. So
Here we go.
So we'll just walk away a little bit, and then I'll cast Mage Hand, my invisible Mage Hand.
Don't mind me, I'm just looking up the combat stats for soldiers. Carry on.
I have to ask, can I spot anything she's doing?
With your godlike
so first of all,
perception.
you are not actively looking, so it will be what your passive perception is. And so when she does the inevitable sleight of hand check, she will have to beat your passive perception for you to not see it.
You do know my passive perception is monstrous, right?
Yeah,
it's fucking absurd.
Her sleight of hand, I think, is pretty good as well. So we'll see. Let's see how this unfolds.
Yes. And the invisible Mage Hand will go and just sneakily take that coin purse off him, which I'm stating my intention now. I'm gonna give that to the fucking farmer.
Yeah, I don't want you robbing the fucking soldiers and getting a shot.
He's probably not that good of a shooter anyways. He has a shitty pistol.
It's the farmer who will get shot.
I was thinking more along the lines, we'll get shot because there's probably about a couple of thousand soldiers behind us.
Yeah, but do you really think the soldiers like this guy?
It doesn't matter. Orders are orders. And who are they going to
Not when the guy giving the orders is about to die if he starts attacking Eclipse.
It doesn't work like that. We're just some 5 assholes. They are going to shoot us.
Okay.
But
Cora is bored by all this and is looking around to see if anyone's playing a dice game or anything exciting.
Sure. This is the type of camp where people are definitely playing dice games. You do notice that 3 Dragon Ante is being played, which, by the way, next time we all meet up, I have the 3 Dragon Ante deck, and we are definitely playing.
Nice.
And so yeah, there are various kind of camp activities, and if you want to find a game, Cora, you absolutely can.
Cora is totally wandering off to do that.
Sure. Yep, you head off and do that. So, Eclipse.
Don't worry, carry on with that, yeah.
Do me a sleight of hand check.
Yes, I just rolled, and that's a natural 19, so that is a 26.
26.
My passive perception is 26.
It's meet it, don't beat it.
Yep. So the actor wins in a tie. That's how the system works. That's why if you hit an AC, you still hit it. So she just about gets past. Even you're insane, and that is insane. How did you get it that high? Tell me later how you got it that high. But so you.
I mean, it could be wrong. It's just the number that D&D Beyond spit out.
Because for your passive perception, that should be your perception modifier plus 10.
Oh, wait, in that case, it's 21. Sorry, so you definitely beat me.
You have a plus 11?
Yeah.
I think you got an extra thing because you're alert, aren't you?
Yeah, I got expertise in, rather than proficiency, there's expertise in.
Oh, expertise, which is double proficiency. Yeah.
But you also got a thing that increases your
it's my level. When I selected a feat at level 8, it gave me the one that I picked gave me expertise in perception.
Yeah, and I also think you got another thing that increases your passive investigation and your passive insight specifically. Passive perception.
Aren't we supposed to be level 7 though?
We're level 7. He meant level 4.
Thank you.
Level 4.
Yeah.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, Corinne, yes, not only do you manage to get it well past this captain, who is so distracted, gushing over glory, that that he has no idea that his pouch has effectively unclipped itself from his belt and flown away.
Yeah, it's gonna float to my palm and it's just gonna disappear.
Yeah, and you even managed to get it that Eagle Eye Farewell doesn't see it. You can tell this because you haven't got that shriveling look he gives you whenever you do anything like this. So yeah, you count yourself lucky this time.
Yeah. I'll ask where I can find the farmer.
You can see the farmer around here. I mean, he's the only one who's not looking like a soldier. Yes, Rodrigo.
Oh no, just a small detail that I wanted to add. I imagine because Glory got Ale sent to Aiden.
Okay, yeah, you say that first, but I just I think 26 is correct on Farewell's passive from my calculation. I went into his D&D Beyond.
Wow. Okay, cool. Well, either way, she beats.
I didn't see shit.
So yeah, Aiden. Yes, there's. You've been given 2 good tankards.
No, but what I wanted to say is before that.
Okay.
Because I imagine because Glory asked Ale for Aiden, we ran out of wine a while ago, right?
I would
Probably.
say it's only a few days worth of travel. I'd say you probably still have.
Depends how quickly you're drinking
Yeah,
it.
it depends how quickly you drink it. You didn't say you went on any particular benders. I'd say there's probably still some wineskins left. You didn't bring a
Okay.
brewery with you, but there's enough to take the edge off.
Right, okay. I'm still gonna assume Aiden hasn't drank anything yet since this morning. So the detail I just wanted to add is that before Aiden gets the ale, you can see him tightening up his scarf, and he's starting to rub his hands together. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good to me. So, I'm going to jump to whilst Eclipse, who has acted, is going off to find the farmer. I'm interested in this this game. So, Cora, you go up to a bunch of soldiers. You can tell by the way they've still got all their gear that they aren't one of the ones that are going to go back to the city. One of them has got his arm bandaged, but not in a sling. Looks like it was just a flesh wound. And another guy has got a kind of it's kind of a splint on his leg, but it's a splint to kind of keep it straight. You have a feeling he might have twisted his knee or something, and they just kind of bound it up in such a way that it's just holding it there for a while. And
Are any of these guys look like they are higher up the ranking?
One of the ones there does seem to be...
I'm aiming for a table that has highish ranking.
Okay, so in that case...
People who might know stuff.
Yeah, sure. So you go past those guys then, because nearby there seems to be... They're not super high up, but they're high up enough that people keep coming up to them every now and again and asking them questions and then running off again. You have a feeling that these guys are captains. Okay, so, the sergeants are going around screaming blue murder, sorting everything out. Clearly they've already got their what's the word? Their orders. And these captains have just sat around in, again, what seems to be some sort of folding trestle table, whereas the previous guys were just sat around with some logs they found and some stones. And they have all pulled out pewter kind of glasses, effectively, and they're all drinking a reasonable bottle of wine.
Okay, while I'm sort of walking and spot these guys before they spot me, I am subtly changing my appearance.
Okay.
Still halfling,
Nice.
but just not obviously Cora. Just normal kind of halfling. Pretty indistinct, so they wouldn't necessarily remember if they had to recall.
Sure.
So
yeah, Cora is quite noticeable, as you say.
Yes. So my hair is gone to just brown. Slightly curly.
Yeah.
And just sort of less distinct.
So as you're walking through the camp, a few people kind of look at you, but mostly people don't pay you any mind. There's halflings here. There's people of all races here. You could just be a returning scout or whatever. There could be a reason why you're not currently in uniform. And, you're small, you're a halfling, you seem quite nippy, they can guess, maybe she's a rogue, although there's no such word for rogue here, that's an insult here. So you're an agent or a scout or something.
I'm trying to look like I'm a visitor, though.
Yeah. This is what the ground troops think and assume of you when you're walking through.
Yeah. I don't care what they necessarily think.
You throw your hood up all of a sudden, and when you pull the hood back down, you're this unremarkable, kind of cookie cutter template.
Kind of slightly rosy cheeked and
you're the stereotype halfling.
Yes.
We're starting to see the Phalok do what Phaloks do best. And so you are now this other halfling, and you walk straight up to the captains. As you walk up to the captains, and when one of them first does notice you, he knows that you're not a scout, and it's clear that you're a visitor. And then he looks up towards the carriage and kind of goes, and carries on looking at his cards.
Hey, can I join you?
I'm really bored. We've been like traveling for ages. Hi. I'm Marty Briarstone. How are you?
Yeah. By all means, young lady, please join us, Ave. Yeah, take a seat, and they're kind of there. And one of the captains looks at the other captains as if to say, "Don't you screw her on money if she's playing too."
Oh no!
And
Oh,
he
no.
goes, "Gentlemen,
Yes,
enough of
Nick?
the bluster for now. I think let's go back down to silvers, please." There's a little bit of a grumble, and they pull the gold back for the ante, and each of them throw a silver in instead. And he says the game is 3 dragon ante, and we're on 3rd flight, but you can come in, and it's only courteous, of course. And he starts dealing out the cards, and looks at his, and he goes, and throws an extra silver in, and it goes around a couple of times, and it goes up to 3 silver if you're happy to stay in.
Oh yeah, I threw in 3 silver.
Yeah. I know you're not
I don't
really here
know
for
the game
game,
all
so.
that well. No.
Yeah.
We're looking for my my uncle, Merrick, who went missing. I don't really know him very well, but I came to visit, and apparently he ran off.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe we can help you with that, young lady.
Oh, really?
And you can tell
Do you know
that
him?
the one that's talking to you, he's probably he looks at you can see he's trying to gauge how old you are, and you have a feeling he probably doesn't talk to many halflings, and he's just there like, "I'll keep going with the young lady because she hasn't corrected me," and he says, "Oviet, over here, please." And this half-elven woman runs up, and she says, "Yes, Captain." And she says, "Right, so this young lady here is, sorry, what was your name again? Marcy?"
Yeah, Marcy.
This is Marcy Briarstone, and she's looking for her uncle, I believe it was.
Yes.
Okay.
I came to visit, and my father sent me, and apparently he's not in the city, so we're off traveling to go find him. It's very exciting.
Okay. What was his name again? His first name?
Merrick
Briarstone. Do
Yeah.
you know? Have you got anything on the books for a Merrick Briarstone? And the Oviet starts reaches to their side and pulls a large tome from their belt. Starts flicking through it and goes, let's see, Merrick Briarstone. I've got nothing in the last 3 days of news, but if you wish, I can contact the Oviet and find out if any of my my colleagues in the area have heard of such a man.
Oh, well, that would be very exciting. I heard he was that he may have gone off to Vaughanford.
Vaughanford.
That was the direction someone said they saw him going, but I don't really know the area very much at all.
Thankfully, Vaughanford is large enough to have its own Oviet, so not a problem there. I believe it's somebody who is actually in the employ of the mayor. I will ask them specifically, but I shall also ask the others. This shouldn't take very long.
That's very kind of you.
The Oviet closes their eyes for a second, and when they open them, their eyes are orbs of pure white. And the first message they say: "Honoured colleagues, I seek the truth of Merrick Briarstone. Those of you who know anything about this figure should please contact me. We have his niece, who is anxious to know the truth of his health and his whereabouts. In truth we trust." Closes the eyes. She. This is female half-elf. And she goes, "Let's see if that catches the attention of anybody."
Oh, that's very kind. That's very clever. You're able to just send a message to anyone.
Oh, do you not know much about the Oviet Order? Well,
No.
There are three disciplines amongst those who have my particular types of talents. You have bards. Bards go seeking lore, and they travel and they collect information, and they spread information around, and they're more in the pursuit of knowledge, whereas oviates are in the pursuit of truth. So we confirm things. So if we hear anything that seems like it's a significant piece of news or what may one day be history, we go and check to make sure that it's correct. All oviates are sworn to always tell the truth, and if we cannot tell the truth, we will omit and say that we cannot share that information. But we never spin a lie. Lies, especially lies hiding in historical records, are incredibly harmful, and we believe that the lessons of the past should always be passed on to the future. As such, you'll find oviates in all members of the army, the government, in universities, and travelling with significant figures who we believe will one day be significant in historical record. The advantage, of course, of having an oviate around is that you can seek the truth from others, and we agents are always happy to share. Oh, I see. And you notice this husky-voiced half-elf does give this sudden kind of, oh, and is surprised and says, of course. No, of course. Well, yes, that's... of course, brethren. I'd be very happy to share the information in return. But I think this would probably take a little bit of time. Yes, you understand. I will contact you before the sun sets. Thank you. Thank you again. So...
Big
Is
thing.
everything okay?
She sits down and looks you in the eye, and she puts her hand on your shoulder, and you start to feel your emotions. Let me check.
Oof.
Big thing.
Big oof. Uh-oh.
Let me check the spell that she's just cast.
Ruh-roh.
Can you make a charisma saving throw, please?
Jenga! Jenga!
I haven't been
Jenga!
rolling very well. I have not been rolling very well. Come on, roll better.
Jenga!
Oh, for fuck's
Jenga!
sake.
Jenga!
Oh no, it's not Jenga yet.
Oh, with advantage. Oh, no, not with advantage. You're not a gnome, you're a halfling.
Yeah.
Against pride and disadvantage.
What was it? Charisma saving throw.
Yep.
You're good at those.
Yeah, you're a
16.
charisma-based caster.
16 is good.
16.
It was a 9. It wasn't
You
great,
can
but-
feel, in that case, at 16, because she's doing this as kind of a surprise, she's kind of slipping this spell onto you. You've got enough to resist it, but you can choose, now that you are feeling the effects and you're resisting the effects, she's trying to use the Calm Emotions spell on you. Now, you can choose to relent and let it happen, in which case you will be mellow. Or you can choose to resist it. She will know if you have resisted it.
I will
Big choices.
let her.
Hmm?
Because I keep my like I keep my senses right. I'm just gonna be like, whoa, chilled.
Yeah, you're gonna be chilled, yeah.
But I'm not gonna forget what I'm trying to do and all that stuff.
Okay, so you're relenting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. So you feel this wave of
Are you certain
calm,
about that?
and she says, "I'm terribly sorry, my dear, but your uncle is dead."
Oh no.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Oh, that's terrible news. I never even met him.
Calm emotions.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
What happened?
yeah, the calm emotions, I have a feeling, has probably got rid of any melodrama. And she says, "Well, it's you understand that I cannot lie to you, so please be careful with what questions you ask, because I will either have to withhold information, which I'm at loath to do, or I will answer you truthfully. But some people
The truth is always better. No matter how painful it might be.
She gives you a very approving nod, and
what she doesn't see is Cora take out a notebook, like, and just.
And she puts a hand on both shoulders, and she says, "I'm afraid he was assassinated by forces unknown. I think maybe he was investigating some dark, maybe some source of evil. Maybe he was doing something quite noble. Obviously, I don't know this. I'm extrapolating from what I've been told. What I have been told is the figures that attacked him were clearly ne'er-do-wells, and he was defended by his friends to the very last. But unfortunately, even though his friends tried to protect him, he did die."
Oh no. Do you know where? I feel I should at least try and visit the space, and maybe I can learn some more.
Well, your senses were good. It was in Vaughanford that he fell. Apparently, he had quite a few friends there, and yes, they all mourned for his passing. And the associate that I spoke to, a man called Emil, will happily receive you. Another Oviate who will be able to answer your questions as I do, but obviously from first-hand accounts, because he was present at the burial.
Okay. Yes. Maybe he has information on what ruffians did this, and maybe I can get justice.
Well, I would say if you're going to search for justice, make sure you source a good, hardy group of adventurers, and try not to go with them. As much as I know, you've probably heard the stories from the bards of heroes going off and tying up personal vendettas and storylines, but it never ends well. Those stories are the ones that are interesting, and the interesting ones are the successful ones. For every one of those stories that you hear, there's many more where people go out in the hope of making everything right, and only to find their own demise, and maybe starting the story anew by which one of their own loved ones go into mortal danger. I'm sure you'll find some sellswords or some capable people to go and do what needs to be done. But please, remember that this uncle of yours would definitely want you to live and to hold his memory sacred. Remember that there's very few people who will do that now. So many people have forgotten, and you will be able to carry on and be a bearer of his memories. It's a very noble thing, in the same way that I will do my part to carry the truth through the ages with my order. You will carry the truth of your uncle.
I will.
May I ask, and I appreciate this is just in my capacity, what particular business was this uncle in?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think he was a very powerful wizard, though, my father said. But I've never really met him. This was my first trip to come and see him, and I never got to meet him.
No!
Well, as I understand it, well, what little you know, I can confirm he was an arcanist of some renown. Largely understated, did not claim any fame, and was mostly somebody who liked to study on his own. And yes, and he was loved for it. He was a mild-mannered gentleman, and yes, indeed. So you're going to. May I ask why you were going to visit him? Was it just to visit family in general? These are not safe roads.
Well, I came to Ostergard first, and then was told that he had travelled, and that's why we were travelling. But I am with some hardy people. They are Yes, they are sort of adventurer types. They will protect me. But I will let them know. Maybe we can find answers. I was just coming to visit, really, and
Yeah,
to maybe
Rodrigo, I'll be
learn
back
from
in a
him. His knowing that he was a wizard, maybe I could. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't think I can play now. I need to take this in. This loss. What was your name again? Ma'am?
My name?
Yes.
My name's Hesper.
Hesper. Thank you so much, Hesper. I will take care and maybe talk to your colleague Emil and see if I can learn any more.
Mention me by name, and he shall make sure that you're furnished with the truth, and he will take you to the gravesite himself. I'm sure that the mayor of Vaughnford would like to speak to you as well. After all, he and Merrick were, I would say, probably casual acquaintances, but from what I can tell, though they were only casual acquaintances, I think they both approved of each other greatly. Just two men that were very mired in their work, who would give each other the respect and time of day. So yes, I think it's best that you go along, but make sure, as you say, that you stay with hardy folk on safe roads.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you so much. Here, I was putting coin down to play, but...
Oh, no.
Here,
I get my pay both through the Order and also through the Army. I am more than set. Thank you very much. And you notice that the guard picks up your 3 silver. Sorry, the captain picks up your 3 silver, puts it in your palm and says, for some flowers when you go to his grave.
Thank you. That is kind. I would have loved to have played, but my heart is not in it now.
Of course.
Thank you.
Maybe when we cross paths on the road again.
Indeed. Good luck.
My name is Captain
travels.
Andrew Brace, by the way.
Oh, Andrew Brace. Captain. Sorry, Captain.
5th Ostergald.
Well, sorry?
He just says, as if it makes sense to anybody who hears it, he says 5th Ostergald. And you notice that on his badge it says Ostergald 5th Regiment.
Andrew Brace, was it?
That's it, Captain Andrew Brace.
Well, pleasure to meet you. I'm sorry it was so brief, and I, yes, maybe on the travels back. Okay. I do wish you luck in this war. It's a shame everyone's fighting all the time. It leads to more death. And... Well, anyway.
Yay!
I will...
Welcome back, Rodrigo.
I must go. I think I need to go back to the carriage.
Okay. One last thing for you, Kate, because others are going to be doing the same. I want you to do... it's not so much a perception check because they're evident. So instead I'll ask for an investigation check. It's not so much whether you spot it, it's whether you understand.
Why am I rolling nothing but 9s and 6s? Jesus Lord. Right, investigation.
New dice.
That's my good one too. Did you say investigation?
Investigation,
Yes.
please.
12.
12. Yeah, you're taken in by so much stuff, and you're focusing so much on your fantastic Phalok abilities that unfortunately you don't take in a particular detail.
I just realized that Kate was role-playing a character, role-playing another character.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
Yep.
was roleplay session.
Yep, it's halflings all the way down.
All I'm going to say is bravo. Fucking hell. What?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That
Absolutely.
was great.
First time trying to use some like disguise self and act. I took the actor fate and I've never yet used it. Feet even.
Yep. So yeah, you notice I didn't get you to roll for any of that stuff because you're a Phalok. Phaloks can change faces. They can charm people, and what you were doing, they were willing to accept. If you were trying to do a little more, if you're pushing your luck more, I would have got you to roll. But
Sure.
just them walking up, their own assumptions were working against them here. So
Hell yeah.
yeah. That's
Sick.
absolutely
Only
fine.
bend the truth just a tad.
Yeah. It's it's how all the best spies work. Is that you never give them something that's hard to believe. You give them something that's unremarkable to believe, and they'll just take the rest of it themselves.
Yeah.
So sometimes your character decisions will
What
mean
do
that
you
I
mean?
won't get you to roll.
Which means that James Bond is a fucking hack.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just the worst spy, James Bond. Don't get me wrong. I like the films, but apart from the old ones where he's this womanizing, arsehole. But anyway, we've got our own
Cool.
spy, and she's better.
I start to wander my
Oh, yeah.
way back towards
Okay.
the group.
Eclipse, you catch up with the farmer, and he says, "Can I help you?" And he is just looking you all over. Thankfully, you know that when someone looks you all over, it's because they've never seen a tabaxi before. It's not anything else, And he goes, yes. And you notice that he's clutching hold of the purse that he has got, even though he knows it's underpaid.
Yeah. All I do is like, hello, I'm Eclipse, and I put my hand out to shake it.
He shakes your hand, and
as he shakes my hand, the coin purse will appear, and I will kind of like give it to him, and then just kind of walk away.
he can't. Well, first of all, he flinches a bit because he's never shook the hand of somebody who's got furry hands, and then he pretty much jumps out of his skin when almost apparating into his hand. Because I think you're using your trinket, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So the coin purse goes from somewhere on your body into your hand seamlessly. And of course, he's shaking your hand, so it goes into his hand seamlessly.
Also, I would have checked how much money was in there. So, like, how much I'm giving him, and if I need to give
There's
him
like $5,000 in there. Suddenly, Eclipse is like,
dies of
I'm
a
not
heart
giving
attack.
it. Yeah.
So the gold coins that are in here are in braces, okay? And that means that they're all stuck together so that they're efficiently put together. So it feels like just these rods of metal. But they are actually coins that have got these kind of sticks that hold them together. These kind of convex sticks. And there are 3 of them. And you are guessing that each one probably contains between 80 and 100. So you're giving him between 240 and 300.
I'm giving him all of that. I'm giving him all of that.
So you give him that. It barely fits in his hand. I mean, thankfully he's quite a large guy, and as you put it in his hand, he's just kind of like what? Looks at it, and he doesn't seem to have got what's gone on, and he's just holding this purse. And he doesn't realise it's a purse. And also, you have a feeling, because he's never had money given to him with a brace before, he's just like, she just gave me some metal wrapped up in cloth. And he kind of starts unravelling it as you walk away. And
I will kind of hang out so like he knows what he's gotten and kind of like...
you kind of back away a bit, and he opens it up. And just as he sees the glint of gold, he immediately wraps it back up and stuffs it down his trousers.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I wink at him and I walk away.
He doesn't wink back. You have a feeling he'd probably want to, but instead of winking back, he just looks at you gimlet-eyed as if to go, I don't know how you gave this to me, but you've just saved my life, kind of thing. And he starts walking away as surreptitiously as he can, with this much coin in his trousers. He's kind of walking like he shat himself, but it's a happy walk.
Because, of course, if you had, you'd definitely walk happy.
And at this point, I would like you to roll a perception check.
Oh no.
Which ones of us?
Eclipse.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get to the rest of you in a sec.
Yeah, that's right.
Perception. I think I have a +3 at the moment. Just gonna double check. Perception, so +3. 7.
No. Yeah,
Oh my
you are
God.
so focused on your sleight of hand, and you're kind of walking away really confident, really feeling good about yourself. You're like, yeah, I rock, I work hard, that you have no idea about a particular detail that you're seeing.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I don't know if that's bad or good.
Next up is Glory, who gets taken to the to this this, as I say, brocaded pompadour of a guy. And as you get closer, you can indeed see, and if farewell, you're going along with Glory, that's fine. The same for you, Aiden, if you wanted to just make sure that she's not going to throw acid at him or something. This guy does indeed have a powdered face, so much so that he has actually drawn on his eyebrows. And so he's got these two perfect eyebrows that he's kind of drawn on in pencil. And he's standing so tall and so rigid and so stiff, you have a feeling he's probably given himself back problems. And he's just kind of looking off into the middle distance, and he's holding a pomander, which is this one looks like a bit of a pin cushion. But you know it's got a lot of scents in it, like cloves and allspice and things like that. And it's so that he can't smell the smells of the camp. And the smells of the camp are stale sweat, latrines, the smell of some wounds that maybe are not as clean as they could be. And he's just there, and he's holding it kind of a couple of inches away from his nose, looking into the middle distance, whilst a couple of clerks are just reeling off numbers and facts and stats at him. And as one of the clerks says something that doesn't interest him, he just kind of ushers them away with his hand, kind of limp-wristedly, just flicking them away, and they walk away. And then another one steps up, and you can hear, now that you're closer, that says, "If I may, I'll start reciting the food situation." And he kind of gives a big kind of, "If we must," kind of thing, and they start talking about the number of barrels of biscuits that they have, and how much meat that they have, and how much the commandeered vegetables have now given them X number of days marching, and everything else. And you can tell he's just not interested at all. His mind is clearly somewhere else as he's sniffing this pomander.
Right. Who did it first?
The captain walks up to the noble, and he says, "Baron Ostergald, I have a lady of some note here who would probably wish an audience with you, if you do not mind. She's from the Green Organization." And at that point, the noble turns around and says, "Really? Someone of note? How novel. I don't think anybody is of note in this field, but you, my lady, are a sight for sore eyes. Civilization at last. How can I help you?"
We were just passing through, and I got quite curious. I've heard so much about all these fights. I'm just curious what's going on out here. We don't hear too much back in the city.
What's going on here is honor and dominance. That
Of
which
course.
is necessary for Ostergald to keep its position. My cousin, the Duke, has managed to find who else would defy us, who else would belittle us. And now we're showing them exactly who holds the power by reducing their men, their numbers, their power base. With minimal losses on our side, may I say, and any losses that we do have are no consequence.
Naturally, I'm sure you have quite the control over the army.
Well, let's say that Darren's loss. I mean, he sent down a token legion. It was largely just to send a bit of a message. In fact, I believe their reason for coming down here was literally just to deliver a message. So my cousin sized up their numbers, made sure that our response wasn't too great. Nobody would wish to give them that much credit. And also, we wouldn't want it to be a runaway victory now, would we? We would want it to be of renown and to show Darren that our fighters are superior to his. So we decided to defeat the Legion with only half of their numbers. We were outnumbered 2-1, and we still destroyed them to a man. It was rather fun. I do enjoy watching these things go ahead. If you find yourself near one of the battlefields where my regiments are taking place in future, you might wish to come and view from a distance. Darren's lot, as far as I can see, are disciplined enough that they wouldn't attack a woman who is out of uniform. You notice that there's a good mix of all genders in this army, and you do notice that there's a kind of mentality that hits once they put the uniform on, that everybody's just a soldier. But you walking through, dressed as you are, they've all kind of given you a tip of the hat, almost like everybody's trying to be courteous to you because you are a lady and you are a lady who is a citizen.
You said minimal losses. We saw quite a few injured when we came in. I assume you left the opposing army in quite a shambles.
Well, yes. I mean, we sent back those who could identify themselves of noble birth, and there are others who are now working the fields nearby, paying off their debt for the part of the insults that they have given my cousin and my family as a whole. You understand. We took a couple of ransoms as well, as is befitting our station. Only the ones that were significant, of course. Minor nobles we sent back because they're beneath us. And so we've got a couple of Darren's own cousins, and he waves his hand over to a tent where a rather rotund, jowly guy is digging into what appears to be a goose. And across from that is a very pissed off, freckled, auburn-haired woman. She's wearing soldier's uniform, brocaded uniform as well, so clearly quite high up. And she's got a pair of pistol holsters at her hips, but no pistols in them. She's also got a sword scabbard, but no sword. And she's just sat there, very pissed off, eating grapes, almost like she has a grudge against grapes.
My, oh my, that's quite the insult. Well
Gloria.
done.
Gloria, I'm gonna leave. This has gotten a whole lot more abhorrent and disgusting than I thought it would be. And I just march out.
Don't mind him. Being a priest of the Raven Queen, he has quite the opinion of battles.
It's okay. Clerics will be clerics. A bunch of pious prigs for the most part. I completely understand.
Do I hear that before I leave?
I would say do a perception check, but your passive is 26. So yeah, you heard it. He does not give a shit about whether or not some bloody vicar hears his opinion, and it says that they're pious prigs, but they're very useful.
I would remind you that we are all equal in death, and when your time comes, pray that someone is kind enough to wash your feet. And I walk away.
Get bent!
Oh, how quaint. I have people who pray for me. I pay them. So,
Indeed. Now, I was gonna ask, what was he, a captain? Lieutenant, maybe? Anyway, the
Lieutenant.
guy did us.
Yeah, the lieutenant that brings you up is still there, rigidly at attention, almost to the point where you can tell he's having trouble holding his breath.
Well, he did mention you having cleared out the road ahead. We're going to... Oh god, remind me the name of the town we're going to. Vaughnford, yes. And I was just wondering if you'd run into anything of interest on the way. Wow.
Nothing at all. A few... Well, if you're looking for interesting sights along the way, you can maybe spot a couple of cutthroat warblers. That's what I saw along the way. And I think on the distance I saw a grey buzzard, which is a pity because it's one of the few birds I haven't shot. And so I was that's about the only thing that's interesting. Certainly the people aren't interesting. The vista is not interesting. The food is abhorrent. I'm glad I brought my own. And it's... I'm afraid you're in for quite a boring ride. If you have any want for books, maybe I could impart a small gift upon you. Obviously, mention it to Renata Green and we're all square.
Of course.
You know, how is Renata, by the way? I haven't seen her for a while.
Oh, she's quite wonderful. There was quite the scare the other day. A building blew up in the city.
Oh, really? Oh, gossip.
Yes.
Oh, you are a delight, darling. What building blew up? Please tell me it was one of the factories. I love to gloat against some of those new money prigs.
Oh, no, it was in the royal quarter.
Really?
Yes.
None of my family's holdings, I hope.
No. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't there, you see. I just heard the explosion and it was quite a stir. We had people running all over the city.
Well, people do tend to overreact a little bit, but I'm afraid I would only be concerned if we'd lost an asset through it all. But it's an explosion in the city. I bet my cousin was red in the face, screaming at his movers and shakers to make sure that this doesn't happen. He likes to present a city that's completely in control.
Yes, it was quite a stir.
Do we know the cause?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Oh, okay, well,
I'm more into
the
research, you know.
Now, so you've given me a little something to go on. I always find small talk with my cousin to be rather droll. He's always twitching about the last insult. Most of his news tends to be the same, but now I can quiz him on this explosion and what he's done for it and who's managed to resolve it. So, yeah, I'm very pleased about that.
Yes.
Any other news? Any new fashions coming in? I must admit, I'm having to work with what I've got here. I have a tailor with me, but he keeps getting the collar wrong. It's such a
I would say cut it a little lower, but yeah. Bright colors are coming in right now. Apparently it suits the fall.
Oh, well, that's something, I guess. I mean, I do have a few brighter colours, but of course they all become sun bleached after a while. You know, just on the road. You know how it is, the trials of being on the road.
Of course. I suppose we'll have to head off soon.
Indeed. But thank you very much for coming and acknowledging me. It's good to know that despite the fact that I've been away from the city and any city for the last 3 years, this is the closest I get to the damn things, is the drop-off points. It's good to know that there's still some civility out there. I'm surrounded by barbarism and savagery. I just...
yes.
Even
the only
my captains
thing
don't drink from glass. It's
really?
Well, they say it'll break in their packs or whatever, and they're saying, just have them packed properly in crates and have one of your soldiers carry the crates or something. I mean, it's not magic, it's not difficult. So, yes, I corrected rocket science to magic.
Well done.
Yes.
Good job.
Well, there was this one thing. You heard my cleric. He is quite an interesting character. He's always quizzing the locals about, rumors of undead. Maybe you have something to share that will give him, well, something other than me to bother for a while.
Well, obviously, when you have mass graves and your clerics are more interested in trying to heal up the whining losers of your troops, that they can only hastily perform the rites of the dead. You do get a certain amount of undead, but that's why we have guards on the outskirts of our camps, that if they do spot a shambling corpse coming towards us, that they take care of it. They all have torches with fire after all, so they just set fire to clothing or whatever, or pour some pitch on them. Really, this whole undead thing, it's very overrated. I find that the Raven Queen's lot tend to be a little inflammatory about the dangers of the undead and all the rest of it. Really, all they are just slow, lazy, and if there's possible, more foul-smelling members of the poor. So yeah, it's really it's not that difficult. So yes, if you want to point him to a few of our mass graves, they're pretty much where all of the nearby battles have been. My man over there, and he points to a guy who's poring over some maps. He'll show you where the last two battlefields were, and you can get him to go, and he can sing and dance on the mass grave, and maybe stop a few of them from getting up and being a nuisance, I guess. Whilst he's there, he might want to kill some rats and be useful. I don't know. It's indeed. So
you know how it is.
Thank you very much. You've been a breath of fresh air. And he just kind of walks over to a table, picks up a book, and says, "I've read it several times already. Please, with my compliments." And he gives you a quite beautifully bound book called The Deepest Cut. And you realise it's kind of like this smutty aristocratic love story with some dashing hero that's probably a noble as well. It probably strokes his ego in a number of different
propaganda.
ways. Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
So he kind of bids you kind of a heartfelt farewell, but it doesn't reach the eyes. It's quite clear that he's just very good at doing this etiquette, and he bids you farewell. And as you walk away, I'd like you to make a perception check.
A perception check.
This
I
scares
get
me.
a roll.
What a colossal prick!
What an asshole! Can he please die?
Oh, that's a good one.
He stomps
18
away.
plus 4, that's a 22.
Ooh,
nice.
Nice.
My new acid die is coming in good.
So as you're walking away, you do notice that there's something that is missing. You're very clothes orientated, very fashion orientated, and you do notice that there's this little gem. You have a feeling it's probably either semi-precious or maybe some coloured glass that all of the soldiers are wearing, and all the soldiers are wearing it over their, let me get this right, so that would be there, so they're wearing it over their left pec. And it's on the same place on each soldier, and you just haven't seen it before, and it seems to be this lovely kind of brooch that has a kind of lilac hue to it. And you notice that they're all wearing it, but you've never seen one of the soldiers. You've seen people wearing similar uniforms in Ostergal before. This may be a feature of their regiment, this particular battle group, but everybody's wearing it. And as you are walking around, and this is why you needed to check for it, because everybody can see this. And I just realised it should have been investigation rather than perception, but we'll keep going. And
it's the same number for me, so that's fine.
Fair enough. So you notice that when the guys are giving in their gear, they're keeping their uniforms because everybody gets to keep their uniforms because they might be called up to the militia again. That's theirs. But they're taking off this brooch and giving it back to the guys on these little folding clerks tables, these little square clerks tables. The clerk is inspecting it, waving a wand over it, and then putting it into small kegs, so tiny little kind of what look like used powder kegs, and they're dropping them in there.
Steal it.
I don't have sleight of hand.
Hopefully you let me see. No.
By the way, did I talk to the guy and got the location for the map just because I want to know, like,
yeah,
where
sure.
they
I mean,
have been recently? It's nothing of interest, just like she does that before she walks off so that he can see that she does that.
Yeah, sure. So it is literally the location of a mass grave, and it's in a place called Limber's Field.
Fun. Okay, yes. Back to the brooches. Well, when I get back towards carriage, I will just go up to Eclipse and just like nudge her. Eclipse, darling.
Hello.
You're a very sneaky person, right?
Depends who you ask, but yes.
Have you noticed that every soldier is wearing that pretty brooch and they're turning it in when they leave? It's shiny purple. I'm curious about it. When I grab one for us to study on our way?
Sure.
Right, so now that it has been pointed out to you, Eclipse, and I'll say this for everybody, I'll take, because now this has clearly been identified as a thing. When they're giving them in, there's, next to the little powder kegs, there is a guard. And they're a guard that's dressed up, much like the pompous ass that first greeted you. They seem to be the kind of passionate, for Empress and Glory soldier types. And they are making sure that nobody is picking them back up again. It seems to be that they're keeping track of these things. So it's not going to be the easiest thing, but if you want to try and acquire one, Eclipse, you may.
I assume that will be next session, though, considering we just hit 11.
We just hit 11 o'clock, which means that, yes, we'll stop there, but it means that your prep, Nick, for this, because you assumed that you were getting to Vaughanford this session, which, in all fairness, was an option, depending on how much you interacted with this little road bump.
Also, we had big character arguments and moments.
You had some role playing. I'm never going to have a problem with that. And it's not as if you have not made any ground on that, thanks to Kate/Cora. You have a contact in Vaughanford to actually go up and speak to. So, you hardly have to ingratiate yourself. They know you're coming.
Yes.
So, some benefits there. But yes, we shall do the stealing, because that's a good place to drop off next session.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do very quickly, I think, is maybe do a very quick raid, and then after that we will head off. So let's have a look. I've got D&D up here. Let's see if there's anybody we recognise. Oh, there's definitely somebody we recognise. So Encounter Roleplay were the guys who did the poll on Twitter recently, saying how many podcasts you follow or streams that you follow. And we ended up connecting with a lot of other streamers and podcasters through that. So I think it's only fair to raid them. I think we've actually raided them once before, but it's still
Let's do it again.
Let's do it
You
again.
always look surprised when the alert goes off and go, "What was that?" That's usually what happens.
So
basically,
let me just put my dashboard over to somewhere where it's not going to show up in your boxes. And let's find that raid, shall we? I would like to do a raid, if that is possible, please. Computer says not yet.
No.
So Pick a live channel to raid and host. I would like encounter roleplay. There they are. So they got 35 viewers at the moment, and we will hit them now. So building the raid. Do 6, 5.
Are we
4,
still streaming?
3.
Or?
We're still streaming. So thank you very much, everybody who has been following us and watching. And we will see you guys next week. Raid on.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Tell me once we're off.
Are we off?
Have we stopped the stream? Yeah, but you also need to stop the stream. If you haven't. Yeah. All right.